Friends, fans, and fine folk, grab your drinks and snacks and come on down to this short rest with me and my friend, Brad from Cutting Words!
Hello!
In the flesh!
Yeah!
Look at that, we can touch. It's awesome. Whenever you get the chance to actually interview someone in person, it makes a big difference. Not only in person, but in the Viva la Dirt League studios.
Yeah. And precious studios they are. Yeah.
Thank you. As you see, we've also adapted these studios to what we're playing today.
Yes.
Given that we're having a short rest, what are we short resting from? What are we in the middle of? What mission are we undertaking?
Mission. So we're clearly in a tavern right now. So we're resting. So we're urban. A classic one would be a troll just came out of a well in a certain tavern. Okay. Yep. And we've just defeated that. And we're just kind of like resting after this.
Short rest after the troll.
Classic trolls going to tavern wells all the time. We won't believe how common it is.
Were we in a situation where we knew that trolls regenerate, or were we one of those classic things of like you kill it and then you're like, whoa, and you start to have a short rest and then it starts to twitch?
Yeah. And then we get the torches. We grab a torch off the wall and go right. No.
We had to
smother. Stay down.
Yeah. And it was such an ordeal that we went to the local tavern to celebrate. And I think obviously the tavern owner has to give us free drinks, right?
Yes.
Because we saved the town.
Tradition, I think.
Folklore.
Yeah.
First level adventurers. Cool. What are we eating? What are we eating and drinking in this short rest? What would this tavern? I can see there's bread, there's tomatoes, apples, maybe.
Yeah, bread and apples. Hearty meal.
A hearty meal of bread and apples.
Yeah.
You can make an apple pie out of that for dessert. You can make. That's it.
I assume something decent in these barrels everywhere. Must be some kind of ale, I guess.
Yeah, lots of drinks.
Yeah.
There's plenty of things to drink.
There's something like terrain, right? Like it can inspire you to suddenly go, yes, bread and apples, perfect. That's the example we're going with for the terrain.
I mean, they say like drinks like Guinness and stout and stuff. Those are like meals in a glass. So maybe we're just drinking something really hearty.
Very refreshing, I think, after a battle. Battles are exhausting.
Drinks like Guinness that you have to chew on the way down. Yeah, pretty exhausting. So, welcome in. For anyone who doesn't know, who are you?
Who am I?
Who's Brad?
Oh, that's a deep question, Rob.
Yeah. Who are you? Let's get it philosophy-wise. Let's get it really into the heart of it.
Oh, well, I am a YouTuber.
Right.
I'm Cutting Words. I talk about D&D a lot about Dungeons and Dragons, as well as so many hats. I do D&D. I do LARP. So a lot of costuming.
What is LARP?
Okay. Live action roleplay is what that LARP stands for, LARP. And that is, you dress up, like so.
It has to be like this.
Yeah, it has to be like this. Exactly like this. All uniform. No. But you do various things, various genres. I'm also about fantasy genre because that's my favorite and it's quite...
I think it's the one that most people, maybe I'm biased in this, but I think it's the one that most people assume as well when they think of LARP. They think of high fantasy, wizards and swords.
Especially in trading films. Also often not kindly in films either.
Oh yeah.
But
it's easily the sort of butt of people's jokes about being nerdy.
Yeah.
If they're like, D&D's getting too mainstream, so if we need someone to point to as being a nerd, we can point to LARP now.
I definitely view LARP as kind of like next level D&D. It's like we're away from the table now. The table's gone, out of the picture. Yeah. We're out. Be a part or hire a campsite for a weekend, dress up the place to make it look like in this case, a medieval fantasy style village or what have you. And we dress up and fights happen, a lot of storylines, a lot of deep storylines.
So the different types of LARP, you say it can be sandbox or it can be like quite a railroady thing?
It can be linear too, yes. Especially if it's ones like you got a short time span and like you might be in a park, so we're linear travel to a park doing like some linear quests. They're simpler linear type style ones, especially more combat oriented ones can be a bit linear. Because unlike D&D where you can change things on the fly based on players' responses, with LARP, since and LARP can be often in New Zealand, LARPs can be about maybe 40-50 players and you might 20-30 crew.
Okay.
Players changing things. We try and obviously accommodate player agency and things, but sometimes it's like, let's big battle. We've got all the crew briefed and dressed up in costuming. The orc army is here. The players did this thing.
They're like, we're going to go somewhere else.
We can't need to set up.
It's not like it's bad enough as a dungeon master when you've set up you've got amazing terrain for a particular fight that you've got in mind. and then they just don't go into that room, or they don't. They decide to go for a diplomatic solution, or they cast suggestion on the guy that's going to set up the fight, and then you're like, oh god, now he's not going to set up the fight because now he's charmed by them. They do something to completely derail, and you're like, oh, I still want them to have this fight that I could prevent. Bad enough in those situations. If you did the thing where it's a laugh and you've organised all these actors to turn up and get in costume and be ready.
Yeah, really go.
Choreography on the fights and stuff.
Yeah. And we've got cool swords too. Here's an example sword prepared earlier.
Hell yeah.
Foam and latex, so you just have to attack each other without hurting your arm.
Imagine like you get a real swing to the head, that would hurt, but like you'd have to be trying.
They're not illegal targets, the head. We don't.
Right.
So latex is very important when attacking people with swords. You know?
Yeah, obviously. Makes
Safety
sense.
first, kids. But yeah, so it's designed to be aim for the sides, shoulders.
You could easily hit any fleshy part and it wouldn't hurt. Like maybe you come away with a little bruise, but definitely not as bad as like paintballing or BB or any of these other things that people do.
Yeah.
So we'll get into specifics of LARP and stuff. We're still just under introduction.
I know, right?
Who you are.
I know.
We're going to keep going.
Okay, we'll keep going. All right. Sure, let's go for another tangent. I'm also a published board game designer.
What?
Yeah.
That's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Which came first out of all these things?
Only one game that's been published. It's called Granny Wars. Here's actually just been reprinted. Actually, it's the new latest edition. It's the second edition. It's a new artwork. Whole new artwork. Rules are the same. New artwork. Oh, the art.
Changes.
It's like it's like when you go to D&D. Anyway, it's all new art. Lots of new art.
Dust it off.
Call
it new. Man, we can get into that, but geez, all the stuff that it's one of my biggest pet peeves at the moment with the PHP. I'm going to date the video right now for years in the future when people are looking back on this. Right now, we're in the midst, at the end of mid 2024, when they're teasing all of the new PHP stuff that's coming out, the new 5.5 or whatever people are calling it. And one of my biggest pet peeves with all the videos about the new stuff is they keep talking about it as brand new. And we've got this brand new feature for the Ranger, or we've got this brand new spell or whatever. And then they reference something that was released in Tasha's 4 years ago. Like, that's not brand new.
Yeah.
It just because it's brand new to being in a player's handbook. But it was in a different book that everybody's using. And at all the tables, everybody's already using this spell or this new feature or whatever. It's not brand new. Anyway. We can get into.
We changed a few words actually.
We changed some words or added in something that was always how the spell worked, but now we make it clear in the spell.
We decided to accept your house rules as canon now.
It's like bonus action, bonus potions and stuff, and it's like, okay.
Thanks for catching up, wizards.
These are not new things. These are just ways that people have been playing anyway. Anyway, so you've done the same with Granny Wars?
Yes. Yep. Available in New Zealand, Australia. So overseas, sorry, you can order it, but not shipping.
Get one of your Australian or New Zealand friends to bring it over when they visit.
Yeah. A game of deception. We work with deception games, which is another tangent we'll get to soon.
Yeah.
Where you're basically trying to bluff who Granny is yours, and you try to help her win the contest, and everyone else's card.
Everybody has a Granny secretly.
Different
types.
No one knows who
Granny
is.
Well, like, and then you don't know who everybody is, but you're trying to like vote them out or something.
So there's a contest, a knitting contest, and basically everyone's got cards, good cards and bad cards, positive negative score effectively.
Right, yeah.
18 turns placing cards face up. Everyone sees what card you're placing on any Granny. And so you can't bluff like which Granny.
Right.
Like I'll put a good card on that Granny. Oh, and everyone can dogpile that Granny a bad score.
Yeah. And the person who is secretly that Granny goes, oh god.
Oh no.
How do I turn the tide for people being in favour of that Granny?
Yeah. So it's all about kind of going, is that person like actually putting a good card that's their Granny, or they're trying to bluff and they got a better card they're holding back.
Yeah.
There's also a balancing mechanic where you put the opposite card on another card, bounce one card from Granny to another pile, so things can shuffle around, and it's going to smooth some turns there.
It's pretty fun. I played it down at I went on a board game retreat for a whole weekend or something, and they had it, and I played it before knowing that it was yours.
Yeah.
Which was very funny.
Yeah.
So you're a published board game creator.
Yes.
A D&D guy, a YouTuber, a LARPer.
Yes.
And what other hats you got?
Let's see. Let's change off the deception board game aspect. I do play a lot of Blood on the Cocktail on the official Twitch streams.
Oh, yeah.
For that. There's
Twitch streamer as well?
Twitch streamer, well, yeah, and other people's channels. I'll do my own. My branch out. Watch this space.
Watch this space.
But yeah,
somebody's going to quickly grab Cutting Words on YouTube. Twitch.tv/Cutting Words.
What are we taking?
Anyway.
So it's like a werewolf or mafia. It was like a hidden betrayal traitor game. Try to find the demon, hidden amongst a bunch of townsfolk. everyone's got different powers and things.
Yeah,
a lot of fun.
It is
a lot of fun.
It is a lot of fun. I haven't had the chance to play that one myself, but I played a lot of those deception games, Werewolf and Mafia and stuff. And I have seen videos of people playing Blood on the Clock Tower.
Yes. So
how did you get involved with that one?
Oh, how did I get involved? Well, my best friend, who Rowena, she got me into it. So she's also my co-writer on a lot of LARPs too. Because you kind of need a big team running LARPs.
Yeah.
Quite a big project. So it's like a giant D&D game. But anyway, we're talking about LARP again. We'll go back. We'll stay focused. And she got into it, watching various games online, and we were like, okay, let's try this out. We're going to play. We own physical copies, so we played in person as well as online. You can do both. And yeah, from there we just kind of got more and more involved, and then met some of the guys involved in the Twitch stream, and they invited me to join them.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool.
Over at TPI, the Penderman Institute, the publisher of the game.
And then on top of all of that, you've got your own hats outside of vocation as well. Like you're a father and
yes,
you've got family.
Sure, yeah, I got a wife and 2 kids.
You've somehow got time for all of these things.
Yeah.
I don't know how you do it, man.
I don't know how you do either, actually.
Any other hats that you're wearing? Or have we reached the limit of your hat stack?
I think now it's probably something I've forgotten, but that's the major one.
You also you work at the film school.
Yes, I do work at a film school.
You work at a film school as well.
With Ben Williams, the director of the D&D series.
The D&D director that went to Utah with me.
Yep. So it's all connected. Like I tell you, everyone in New Zealand, right? Everyone knows each other. There's like a little circle of connectivity there, right?
Yeah, you may have heard of the six degrees of separation, but in New Zealand it's 2 degrees of separation.
Yeah, we all know each other.
Yeah, which is why one of the phone companies here is called 2 degrees, because it's about how everybody knows somebody who knows the other person.
Yeah.
So if you meet any person, they're a stranger to you at first, and then you get to know them long enough to be like, oh, we've got a mutual friend in common who we happen to know that went to the film school together or whatever.
Yeah, easy.
Cool. So let's jump right back to the origins, as it were. Cutting Words. Where did the name Cutting Words come from?
Oh, are you familiar with a class and subclass role called Lawbard?
Never heard of them.
Really?
Never heard of them. Never heard of Lawbards.
Right. Well, okay. So it's a class in Dungeons and Dragons.
Okay.
Yeah. So there's the bard.
That's one of those table game role games, right?
All right. Okay, we're going to be here a while. So, bard. So, how do you spell bard?
B-A-R-D.
And how do you spell Brad?
B-R-A-D.
Yeah. This is very similar. Very similar. I know. And it was a very, very a lot of deep name. A lot of thought into this. But not only that, but the similarity of the bard names. I like bards. Okay. My first ever character with playing 5e was a lawbard.
That's really helpful. You were going to say barbarian.
No.
It's a Bradbarian.
What a great multi-class barbarian. Anyway. No, it's not. Lawbard, and when I first started learning the game and everything, I really appreciate the depths of actually cutting words ability.
Right.
Because I like, how's a reaction?
Yeah.
You spin a die, it's quite interactive.
It's got good flavour to it as well.
Yes.
It's a reaction to somebody making an attack against you, and you can say some cutting words to them. You can basically insult them.
Yes.
You can give them a quick burn, and it throws them off their attack and makes them subtract D6, D8, D10 from their roll. Yeah.
So I really appreciate the design and the flavour of that. And so kind of the combination of all these things going, and it's always like a good name for a review type channel, right? We're talking about a lot of D&D. I review a lot of books on there, doing boxing minis and things like that. So it'll just kind of fall into place.
It kind of feels like you should be doing more like more ranting or more like more like cutting remarks.
Turns out quite nice.
Too nice for it. It would have been a good because I recently did a short series on YouTube called Robert Rants about where I just pick something in the game that doesn't make sense or something that's inconsistent slightly, and I just
there's a minute video of you going, what were they thinking?
Yeah, like why 2-weapon fighting is this thing in the game, but it's also the exact same name for this other completely different feature in the game, and
crazy.
And this and that and the other, just ranting about stuff. That I could have called cutting words. I'm cutting them to the quick. Cutting them deep, man.
Yeah.
You're too nice.
Nice.
Your reviews of things.
I know. Managed to fix that.
Yeah.
Just let loose. Let loose.
So was there any other things on the sort of short list for names of the channel when you were coming up with it at first? Bardic inspiration? Any other bardic things?
A lot of things are actually taken. There's really, a lot of names out there. That wasn't so okay, that seems to work.
Cutting words is free. Let's
lock it in, lock and load. Especially those early days with YouTube.
Yeah.
Like you need like certain length of time where you can actually lock in the name.
Yeah.
And then you need a certain number of subscribers to
like
the
in
whole
order to get
thing.
the URL. I don't know if it's still the same, but you needed
might
like
have changed
100.
now,
I think you needed 100 or 1,000 subscribers or something in order to lock in the URL.
Something like that. But yeah, so past one of those days now. But yeah, back then I was just like, got look at the names, guys get work on this, and yeah, it's kind of.
Did you do the same on all the different platforms at the same time? I mean, like, I'm not yet on this or that or the other. Let's try and grab cutting words.
I wish.
Wish you'd done that.
So it's a little higgledy-piggledy. So like I'm cutting words GM on Instagram because cutting words is taken by some sewing channel. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm lucky enough that I got Robert Hartley GM on everything. Like,
yes.
I was early days. I was like, I'm going by Robert Hartley GM. That's a decision that I've locked in.
Yeah. Turns out
I'm going to grab it on all of the platforms.
There's a lot of famous Brad Thompsons out there. Turns out, like
Thompson,
musicians and things. I was like, oh, damn it! Then all these other Brads. How dare they have the same name as me and already snapped up all the good ones? Damn it!
Yeah, there was another Robert Hartley on YouTube when I was starting out, and I was like, oh, thankfully he's not big, and most of his stuff.
I will destroy him.
Yeah, I'll make it my mission to be the first one up whenever anybody Googles the name.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I remember those days as well, like Googling my name to be like, am I on the front page yet? No, not yet. And then like I'd be like, oh, I'm now on the front page, but I'm like 8 things down, and then I'm like Robert Hartley, and now I can't remember now, but I think depending on your previous search history, because obviously Google shows everybody different things depending on what sort of side of the political spectrum they're on and stuff. Google's very orchestrated in what they show you.
Yeah. It's very brave of you, Rob, to admit you Google yourself regularly.
I Google myself all the time, just in public as well. I'll Google myself. I'll Google myself on the bus. I'll Google myself. Yeah. You gotta get it. That's the only reason I'm in the search engine. Like, Google's like, a lot of people searching for this guy.
That's how it
just
works.
That one guy. So early days, you started with cutting words. Was the YouTube thing like your first foray into making content?
Yes. Yep. Yeah. So YouTube, because I have a film degree. I work at a film school. I was like, wait a minute. I have all this film background. Used to work in post production.
Right.
Shows like Power Rangers.
All right. And what sort of stuff did you do in post? I
was the lowly person who got the suites ready for the real editors and special effects people, like work on Spartacus, rotoscoping out all the naughty bits to make it a PG rated kind of thing. Like trying to make it like a family friendly version of Spartacus. I don't know how well that went.
So your job was to just stare at genitals all day.
I prepared the edit suite for the people who search genitals.
Okay.
So get the first little line up, then here you go. This is the penis, sir. Just put the pot plant in there. Perfect.
Just present. So your job was to prepare genitals to be stared at.
Yes. So the glamorous
in the film industry.
Yeah, very glamorous.
You can very much turn any job in this industry into sounding much different than it is. I frequently tell people when I'm trying to describe Dungeon Master, but I want to do so in a risque way, I'll be like, I help adults act out their fantasies for a fee. I like play out a role, do some role play with adults and stuff.
Well, I got an interview recently on Radio New Zealand where they didn't seem to know what D&D was.
Got interviewed by Radio New Zealand about. Because it was Dungeons and Dragons Week, isn't it? What was
that? Because of the news cycle on 50th anniversary for D&D. So we've got to get someone about D&D on the radio to talk about this.
Everybody's talking about it too much. We need to
get someone in. We won't Google it at all. We'll just get some guy in, ask him some unresearched questions at all.
So what is DUND? What is DUND? Doesn't it stand for Do Not Disturb? You're like, that's what we're
No, I wish they did questions like that. They're more like made assumptions, like, it's like this. So understand you have a Dungeon Master name? Dungeon Masters have names? So what's yours? I'm like, not a DJ.
What?
Like, what are you talking about?
Questions that aren't even like baseline foundation stuff. They've made an assumption about baseline, completely got it wrong, and then ask questions about that. You're like, okay, so now we're going to have to dig down below what you thought you were talking about to just explain what Dungeons and Dragons is.
Yeah. So that was a fun 6 minutes.
Oh god, yeah, I bet, and fitting it into 6 minutes as well, because that's all we care. It's like we tick that. We talked about Dungeons and Dragonas.
Yeah.
Oh man. So you were LARPing before the YouTube though?
Yes, and before D&D. I actually.
You were LARPing before D&D.
I started on deep end. I went to deep end first and got a D&D later.
You came up to LARP from something even more nerdy.
Yeah. So.
What is more nerdy than LARP? What is the like the hierarchy of nerds?
Oh, it's a tough one. Because also,
if you get into LARP, is is like Ren fairs above or below like the nerdy? I think Ren fairs are more acceptable in like mainstream than LARP.
I guess I think people understand it more. Like, people, when you say LARP, people are like, what is that? What are you talking about? Like, we pretend to be a character for like a whole weekend.
It's like a long Ren fair, but there's quests to go on.
Yeah, it's actually a story as opposed to just dressing up and standing around.
And enjoying boobs. Yeah. Boobs and drinks.
Same with like, I guess, cosplaying as well. Like, oh, you dress up and things. Like, yes, we do dress up. So like, I've been confused as a cosplayer before. Like, dress up, but like, dress up to actually do a story and like, there's stuff going on.
Do you consider yourself cosplay at all? Because you make a lot of your outfits, right?
Well, I have a lot of talented friends. I rely on a lot of talented friends. They show me some things sometimes, how to do stuff. Yeah. They mostly go, hey, Brad, we'll take him finished off now. Good job. Thanks for trying. Okay, thanks.
You did a couple of stitches. Yeah. You can say you worked on this.
Thank you. So I can't take credit there. But yes, I don't really cosplay per se. I dress up like I did a Mind Flayer recently, Armageddon. Right, but mostly because I had a Mind Flayer costume just ready to go. I don't really go like just with a Marvel character or anything like that.
Right. So which one? So what came absolute first? LARPing was first, or was there something even? Was there something?
Well, we board games first. We board games first.
So you grew up playing board games with family and stuff?
So I did the traditional stuff. Yeah. But really kicked off when I first moved to Auckland to start working in post-production, film post-production and things. Because at film school, I heard about this great TV show called Battlestar Galactica. I was obsessed with it. The secret asylums, things like that, and all that. The kind of like, who the secret traders, and that's kind of like started like again that whole like deception games and spawned to design my own deception game and playing deception games. And yes, I got into board games. When I first moved to Auckland, good to make friends at board games. I tell you, go to a board game group. Highly recommend.
A lot of my current friends came from board gaming. Like I went to the board game cafe here, Cakes and Ladders, and met a bunch of people, started playing board games with them, and then started playing board games outside of just going to the cafe together.
And before you know it, you own thousands of them. My living room is just wallpapered with shelves of board games.
Yeah, man, board games is an expensive and resource intensive, like space intensive hobby. Like if you get into board gaming, you're like, well, now I need another room. Now I need a spare room to hold all.
And they're pretty big. I'm playing through Frosthaven at the moment, which is a giant, like box is huge, and it just kind of lives on the floor permanently now. Can't partially open because we play it like regularly.
So it's back in trying to put it up on a shelf.
Yeah, so it's just there. It's just on the floor. Like, don't question. It's just on the floor now. Yeah. That's it. Fair enough. Forever. Because it'll take years to play through.
So through board gaming, you discovered LARP. How did that?
So I did. My friends in board games then got me to try some tabletop RPGs. Right. Not D&D at that point. It was Champions. I don't know if that one's like the superhero system. Yeah. No, it's quite old now. I'm not sure how much it's used now. But that's what my friends were playing at the time, and they told me about. So I played a bit of that. Then they got me into LARP. Those same friends go, okay, and to World of Darkness. Okay. Straight to the Vampire LARP. Like, oh, okay. Like fresh side. Like, oh, okay. Then.
So is the World of Darkness? So for the people who don't know, the World of Darkness is like a setting for a bunch of different tabletop role-playing games, like Vampire the Masquerade, Werewolf, the whatever the tagline for that is.
So you can all change them different editions and things like that.
Wraith the Forgotten or something. There's always like Monster : the something. Vampire the Masquerade's the most famous one, but there's a whole bunch of them that are all in the same setting. Yes. So is the LARP for it? So all of those things at once, or do you just kind of focus
well, it depends on the setting of what LARP is. The particular LARPs I got into were the vampire LARPs. Right. And so we play characters with vampires. Other supernatural creatures that exist in the world, often were enemies to deal with.
But you're told like, hey, you make a Vampire the Masquerade kind of character, rather than like, I'll turn up as a werewolf.
Yeah. So all camera and vampires, and I don't know how much you know about vampires, Rob.
I know quite a lot about vampires, especially from the Tales of Misfits session where I had to research vampires a lot to try and fit in as much as I could to Brit's backstory and storyline and stuff.
Yes.
But I've only played Vampire the Masquerade once. I've never run one yet. But I've played Vampire the Masquerade and I've played the Wraith one once as well. But I don't know too much about the World of Darkness.
Yeah, so my first vampire character was Tremere. I was like, oh wow, they get magic and they have no clan weaknesses. Sounds fantastic. I was lied to. They're the worst. They're the worst. They're the hierarchy. Like basically, there's like a pyramid structure. It's a pyramid scheme, basically, the whole clan, and you just basically get all the shit comes rolling down. Your superior so this, and like everyone just hates you. Right. They hates the warlocks, the warlock clan. Okay, so just it's brutal way.
They've got no weaknesses. No weaknesses except for the structure of how their clan operates.
Yeah. It's like
yes. So that was your first character as in a LARP situation.
Yes.
And you were fully vampire, like you
Yeah,
were
well,
full
well,
out. Did you get the white face makeup?
No, we don't do something though, because we just wear suits and like in a bar kind of thing. Yeah.
Because it is set in like a modern day
Correct.
setting as Vampire the Masquerade.
Yeah, it's
so
modern.
it makes it easier to less what do they call it? Barrier to entry.
Yes, because
be like, I have to go out and buy a LARPing sword and
get a bunch of costume maids and don't worry about that.
Like,
just chuck a suit on.
Put a suit on and go to a bar.
Easy.
So was that like just a one-off thing?
It was a campaign. So it was a vampire campaign that was going for like 20 years, I think.
Holy moly.
I joined them partway through. I've also been for that long. But so there's a lot of stuff going on. Like, what's going on? Ooh.
Yeah, I bet.
And then got caught up in politics and actually got killed and had the new character. But vampire is pretty rough.
Does that happen a lot? Like, because that is one of the things people say about World of Darkness. It's a lot easier to die in those sorts of role-playing games than in D&D, especially 5e.
Yeah. Well, in World of Darkness, especially the LARPs, there's a lot of politics.
It's more likely
and there's a bit more PvP in it. Most LARPs, especially these days, a lot of people can't go in our PvP because people don't like losing their characters because it was made as costuming.
Yeah, you spent all this money on your costume.
Just die.
Well, my next character is also a human fighter who wears this exact
costume.
I will avenge my brother.
PvE, you play this environment with like the GM controlled baddies and things like that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Generally, how it ends up going.
So then, after your experience with the vampire LARP, you started getting into other LARP. You started getting into D&D at that point.
Other LARPs, so just all LARP all the time. So it's with the kind of larger kind of weekend style LARPs and that sort of thing. That's where I actually got.
It was one of these things where, like, the first time you played it, was like, this is my personality. This is who I am.
Yeah, this is great. Like, oh wow, it's like the deep story, things are going on because you're on D&D, you're on a table, right? And everyone's. The game is happening there in front of you, everyone on the table, but things can happen in the other side of the room you don't know about, or across camp and the whole world LARP, this whole feels like a whole world coming to life with different things going on. Something you get pulled into, something you have no idea about. Like, wait, what's going on there? Oh yeah, this is from over here. This. Like, wait, what? Yeah. So
LARP events much more like real time. Stories. There's no like time skips. It's usually like, all right, everybody, we're time skipping forward a week.
It could be between games. So, say for example, so the big weekend games tend to be like every 6 months. Is that we get there a weekend, and there could be some time between where like cool, next time we gather will be could be next day in world time, or it could be like actually 6 months or a couple weeks or whatever, depending on the story demands.
And do you have like, if it's real time over a weekend, it's just the story and the quests and everything just have to be beginning, middle, end over a weekend, like self-contained into that weekend.
Yeah, so yes, you can get one-off ones where like there's self-contained story, or be in a big part of a campaign where there's a self-contained story that's also part of a larger campaign. Yeah,
it's a self-contained chapter of a larger story. And then your long rests are actually just overnight when you have a sleep.
Yes, yeah. So
through the day, you're like, well, I'm screwed. It's 10 o'clock in the morning. I've just been in a battle and got annihilated.
Yeah, so I've run a few LARP campaigns myself. I ran a whole major campaign for 4 years, and I wrote a whole rule set for that. And there's long rests, like resting, get your hit points back and mana or what have you for your magic resource, and
And there's so much to go into. We'll sort of keep chronological for now.
Yes.
So you're LARPing, you got into other LARPs, you started getting into more high fantasy themed LARPs.
Yeah.
And you found them easily enough? Like, you found them through the people that were doing LARPs with you, or you started Googling them?
Through friends and then through Facebook groups and whatnot.
Okay.
Facebook's pretty big here in New Zealand. Obviously, it's only so now. But
it's definitely devolving into only for boomers in a lot of places. But it's still used for a lot of meetup groups and things in New Zealand. So you found a bunch of LARPing groups, Facebook pages.
So Into LARPs is kind of the big New Zealand
and you found it's a pretty welcoming society.
Yeah, it's a great community. Fantastic community.
People tend to be like, "Oh, new guy,
please come." And
you need more lifeblood into the hobby.
You come and you can either come straight as a player, or you can go crew, in which case you can play the various NPC roles, and you're given costuming and things and briefings like, "Hey, you got to play this villager coming out, saying, I hope you're going to attack." Then you run around, get changed. You're not going to be an orc for this army now, or whatever.
Yeah, that's cool. That sounds fun. But you went in straight as a player. You didn't do any of that crew stuff.
Well, I've done lots of all of them now, but initially it was player.
Initially, you were coming at it from player.
Yeah.
And then, at what point did you start playing D&D for the first time?
Okay, so my friends I met through LARPing.
Yeah.
Right. A bunch of them got together to start a D&D game. It was a turn, like 5th edition just come out. And we're like, hey, we're going to get into D&D, a bunch of us. And so a bunch of my friends got together, good friends I met through LARPing, and formed a D&D group and started playing. Unfortunately, they didn't have space for me to join. What great friends I have. So they started playing. I went, sorry, Brad, there's not enough space for you. All right, we've already got like 6 players. Oh, okay, all right. And then one of the players, one of my good friends in the game, took pity on me and decided to start another D&D game for me to join and play. So eventually I got it there.
Eventually you got it.
The joke's on them now. I'm way bigger into D&D than them. So that's what it's all about, revenge.
Yeah, that's the only reason you started a YouTube channel. I started doing D&D reviews and things.
Yeah. Show them.
Unboxing, just so that you can get big enough to then start a game one day and then be like, no room for you.
Yeah, you can't play. So it's all about, it's a long game. It's a long game.
Gotta commit to the bit.
Yeah, 9 years in the making. Here we go.
So you started eventually playing with this friend. What was your first character? Lawbard, you say?
Lawbard. So it was a Dragonborn Lawbard.
Dragonborn. Nice.
Because it was Hall of Dragon Queen.
Okay, yeah.
And so I was like, cause, naturally, when it comes to writing characters, for me, I'm like, okay, what's the story? Okay, I'll write something that kind of works with the story the GM's doing. I was like, dragons. There's a dragon race. Okay, I'll be a dragon person then.
Had you played any bard-like things in your LARPing at that point? Like, you usually go for a particular class when you're LARPing?
I tend to be, I think at that point, I'd mostly been kind of more Littlefinger schemey types and more kind of magic-y. I didn't engage in the hard-out fighting at that point. Right. Much more these days. I do that. Dress up in armor, let's go.
Smack somebody with a sword.
Yeah, had enough training now. I'm pretty confident.
Yeah. Is that so? LARPing does work in like a class system as well. Class system. You got the upper class.
Yeah.
You got the
you nobles
got like you choose your class like in D&D.
Yeah. So I'll use the rule set because every LARP kind of writes their own rule set generally.
Yeah.
But yeah, for the ones I've written, it tends to be kind of class-like. A lot of inspiration from D&D, go figure. Mm-hmm. We can build your character to be like proficient wearing armor, so you got more hit points. Every time you hit a sword strike, you lose a hit point. So you got more hit points, you can hit more hits, that sort of thing. You have to eventually keep track because it's all live action. So turn taking, there's no die rolling. Right. It's all live. So same with magic systems. You need like for magic, you say a word like it's the most coolest. So you have to memorize like say 10 calls. Right. So some points you go as you're paralyzed. You know that you need to be paralyzed now or whatever.
And you just got terrible memory for it. So you're like, I've got one spell that I remember. This is all. Why are you never using your fireball spell? I don't remember the word for it. Yeah. Wizard with amnesia.
Yeah.
That's pretty fun. So there's no like in the same way that there are official named tabletop role playing games. Like obviously people house rule and homebrew their own stuff, but it's still like Call of Cthulhu, Dungeons and Dragons, Pathfinder. There's no one rule set. There's no one publisher that publishes LARP games for you to play.
Not in New Zealand.
People
like,
tend to just
we tend to make our own. Like we create a bunch here. We're like, no, number 8, why can do it to, we'll do our own way. We take inspiration from overseas, look at different games. Yeah. And I've always found like, no, it wasn't quite what we're looking for. I find LARP actually, from my various research, is in the different countries kind of very different. Like even just in Australia, their LARPs are very different from ours. I think ours is probably closest to Nordic LARP, but even then it's not quite the same.
What makes it Nordic LARP?
So Nordic LARP is more like roleplay heavy with storylines and things like that, and more like in Australia and a few other places, more like they're more combat focused and more festival style, where like it does feel more like a Ren Fair with like vague plots of like you need to do these fights and you get this egg, and whoever's got most eggs at the end wins, that faction wins. Right. They're less like there's no like personal plot story. Like it's not like I wrote this personal plot for that character there. Hey, you crew, there's this person there. You're that person's father coming in, longest father. There's no personal plot. Those ones, but New Zealand and Nordic style LARPs, there's more of that.
Yeah, that feels like much more my thing. Yeah, like I'd be if I was to get into it. When I'm to get into it, watch this space. You may be watching this in a few years and be like, oh yeah, Rob used to do D&D. Before he was a LARP streamer full time. You never know. But yeah, when I inevitably end up trying it, I feel like that's the style that I'd gel with more, like having like a character and a story and fully engaging who this character is.
There's a lot more work to run as a GM for this LARP. There's a lot of writing, like got spreadsheets of people's characters, like what plot lines they've got, personal plot for them. Okay,
it's exactly the same in DMing. Like it's so much easier to go. I'll throw a combat at them. That'll take up half an hour of the game. Like that's easier to prepare to be like look at your minis and go beholder. I'll throw a beholder at them.
Look at your costumes. Like, okay, we got a golem costume there. Cool. Get someone that zip up
I'll make a combat around this, and the vague success rules for the combat is they must do this over this, and then they get this reward. Yeah. It's a lot harder to then GM and be like, today's going to be no combat, which means that I have to prepare all these other things, all this like story moments and beats.
So imagine DMing a game, right? But you got say 5 players, it's like 45 players.
Yeah.
And you got 2 other DMs. They're helping you. You're working together, meeting together. Go, okay, what's the storyline for this? How do you count? You can't even be there for all the counters because lots of counters happening everywhere.
Yeah.
So sometimes you don't even know, like, how's the game going?
Yeah,
I don't know.
It's like GMing a D&D game where you've got a table of like 5 players, and there's other tables with players and no GMs. Yeah, and they're like, I'm DMing all of those tables.
And you might have like 20 or 30 people who report to you saying what's going on. You're cool.
This
now
is what we
go
did.
play.
And I'm like, that wasn't meant to happen, but
like,
you did it.
What? Okay. Well, you guys go be undead now. Go attack or whatever.
Man, that seems insane.
Yeah.
How long into LARPing as a player before you were like, I can do this, I can write one, I can take on the responsibility of actually running one of these things?
So, let's see. I've got to get the timeline on the top of my head. But yeah, I played for a decent number of years. I'm going to say, quick math, I'm going to say 4 years before I decided to take the plunge into...
It still seems relatively...
I think.
That still feels like you're relatively new to it as far as I'm like timelines go, because I would.
They were like campaign for 4 years. There's been a couple of years since then.
Because LARPing doesn't have the benefit of being as easy to get around to like every weekend. Like D&D, you can in theory. I've heard. Yeah. You can have a regular group for every weekend for whatever.
Yeah. So all the Darkness games were monthly. They were like monthly, like a bar.
You get one game.
Monthly.
Every month.
Yeah, and that's quite. There was like a whole evening. We were dressed up with like say 20 people, and they're quite cool little.
Is that a lot for that?
For New Zealand, that's pretty good. Like, pretty good. I think its height was when we got 30, and it kind of like fluctuates when COVID hit.
Right. Yeah.
Anyway, and then there's the games where the LARPs, the big weekend events. They get up to 100 people.
Yeah. Man, 100 people. That's a lot of people to be controlling. And you still just have like the one GM with a couple of co-DMs?
So it tended to be, like the one I ran was for 3 of us.
Yeah.
We had a lot of helpers, like support people, like logistics, and like here's the props we actually need for this game. Get made different MacGuffins and things like that. Yeah. Like we need a genie lamp. Please source
somebody
a
find a genie lamp.
Or whatever. Yeah.
That's cool. So you started your, so I'm just getting timeline. You were playing for a bit. You started playing D&D. You started playing your Dragonborn Lawbard.
Yes.
You fell in love with that as well. Like at no point was it competing with the LARP? Was it ever like I'm preferring this?
Well,
so
also,
I put my time into that.
Well, when we, especially in the lead up, when we're close to a big LARP event, especially when I'm running, because there's a lot of prep work involved, and like we did like weekly meetings and like with co-writers, because you got to write. Basically, every encounter you need to write up fully, so then it can be run by someone who's not you.
Yes.
Because you won't necessarily be there.
Yeah.
The game needs to keep running if you're not there. So you need to hand this off to someone who can read this and go right and go run it.
Yeah.
And so it's like quite a big operation. It's like a big theatre production.
Yeah.
D&D, but with still like player agency and things going on.
It's one of the difficult things about publishing like any sort of D&D supplemental stuff is you need to be able to have as much information as they need.
You don't come with the book.
You don't come with the book.
Yeah.
You're like, this is what I meant. Oh, you don't get the interpretation of what I meant unless I've written 100%. It well enough.
Yeah. So it's an art form I picked up writing, which actually helped with the DM challenge. I didn't mention. I should probably mention that at some point. The Dungeon Master challenge.
True. Completely.
Well, yeah. That's how it kicked off the YouTube channel actually. Probably. And I was like, oh, this DM challenge. I guess we'll loop to that soon. Let's talk about LARP. That's a little later on the timeline. But yes, and so I picked up a lot of writing skills, writing this massive campaign book, and I lost my train of thought now.
We were talking about like the time you were putting into LARP versus the time you were putting into
so basically,
D&D.
current D&D games had to be paused. Like 2-3 weeks out from the LARP event, we're going to stop all games, guys. We're all, especially a lot of our co-writers team, we're in the same D&D games. We're going to stop this game.
If we're meeting up for the one weekend we've got available outside of being, family and kids and whatever, then, this is our one time we've actually got, and it needs to be dedicated to preparing for this LARP event coming up. So they were competing a little bit. Did it ever happen the other way around? Like you were preparing for something important in your D&D game, and then there was like this LARP, we'll avoid this LARP this weekend because it's not going to be a big one.
Probably not, because D&D is easier to schedule than LARP.
Right? Jeez Louise. Yeah, man.
It
makes sense because you've got, tens, dozens, or hundreds of people involved, but still, like, it's not
crazy to think about it.
Yeah, all of the stereotypes about how difficult it is to schedule a D&D game.
Yeah.
I can't imagine all of the logistics that goes into scheduling LARP as well. But it is, at least you get the commitment of somebody having paid to attend, right? The LARPs are usually like you're buying a ticket in order to go, which tends to get people more committed to actually going at the time that they've said, and you don't get as many people who text you at 6 p.m. when you had said you were going to start at 5:30. And like, where are you, dude? Oh, I'm in Kansas.
Committed, yeah. Because also, money for the ticket, which covers, like, if you're new hire, which means a cook coming for the weekend to feed everyone. Yeah. Because food provided, because you need everyone to be at the camp the whole time.
Carrots need to eat.
And, like, props and costumes were made for the various crews on the weekend if you see.
Yeah. Lots of expenses, I mean.
Yeah. So
do they break even at least, or is it always?
They do. They design. We have budgets. We design things. And NZ LARPs is a non-profit society that we've set up where they will basically one of the big features of it is they will front up the cash money.
Right.
That pay for the venues, do the bookings, everything.
Okay, that's good.
And then
recuperate
all the costs back to them. And if there is any loss, they absorb the costs.
Right.
And we always try and make sure there's enough profit there that it's always topped up with enough money in there to help cover. Make sure we can keep running LARPs.
Are there like membership fees?
There is like $10.
Right. But again, it's just more a cost to try and weed out people who aren't actually committed to doing it.
Yeah, I mean, that's help support the community and help fund the website. So we advertise LARPs on the website there as well. NZ LARPs for those interested.
That makes sense. Lots of little costs that add up.
Yeah.
And somebody's got to foot them, I guess.
Yeah. As well as hiring a storage unit to store all the LARPs and props for games. Because they go somewhere, they'll store them somewhere. Yeah. We don't have an amazing studio like this where we can just stash things behind bars and just
what? Like, no, there's a whole other room behind there.
No, there's a bunch of storage there, I saw. So we need to like hire storage between games. And things like
that makes sense.
A lot of hidden costs.
Yeah, I bet. How many people are sort of like, would you say, core to the New Zealand LARP scene?
Core, like, I mean, this is the committee that runs the LARPs.
Like how many people are on the committee, and how many people are kind of?
There's also people who like help out who aren't involved in the committee.
The faces that you would go, oh, these people. If you were to arrange like a get together or a party, so not like a LARP itself, but like if you were to list like an email list or whatever of how many people you'd be like, these people. These are the core
like kind of LARP runners, New Zealand kind of thing.
Are we talking like in the hundreds or like?
Like core people kind of run events and kind of run there currently, because also a lot of people, they're kids, they get older. They
slide out.
Some people don't have commitment like I to find time to get a what. Kids don't slow me down. I would say it's probably maybe 20 people, but actual LARP community, like people who play games involved, we're talking hundreds.
Yeah, I'd imagine so. That's impressive stuff. So, whereabouts in the timeline are we now? You're playing D&D, you're playing LARP, you've been into both for years now. What came next in the journey?
Next in the journey, okay. Yeah, and it got published as well.
Was that in that time?
Yeah, so that was... This first got published in 2012, 2013.
Right.
So it was a little bit a while ago. 10 years. That's why I got... That's why 10 years.
That's why the second edition came out. Oh, do you remember this game?
Yeah. Remember this game? So
what prompted that?
I had an idea one day, Rob. I don't get these often. You just have a spark of inspiration. You look at your shelf of board games at the wall and go, I have an idea for a game. Kind of looking at different games. I think I have an idea for one. This guy's made a prototype one day. This guy had an idea. This guy just built the prototype. Took it to a few board game groups to try out. Did the circuit, and then it helped that the game's quite short to play.
Right.
So, hey, you want to try a game? 10 minutes. Okay. People, it was like hey, you want to try my giant legacy game? 2 hours plus.
You want to just quickly sit down and have a 2-hour game with me?
Yeah, easy to learn too. Easy to learn, hard to master. That's what I like. So easy to learn all, but then it's like figure out different strategies for bluffing and things. And so I eventually met up with the publishers who were at a convention, as you do, and I pitched to them, and I gave them the prototype to take away, and eventually got back to me and said, yes, we'll publish it. Awesome. They actually came up with a greeny theme. Originally, it was like very kind of generic theme. I was like, little numbers bouncing around. It's kind of like mechanics, so it was very mechanical back then.
Right.
I've since grown more narrative focused than mechanical focused.
Yeah.
But back then, it was very mechanical.
But the rules of it was what the game was, and they said, make it about grannies.
Yeah. They thought it'd sell better. I was like, sure, great. I was like, you want to publish my game? Do you want? Yeah, publish. So.
Cool. So that happened in that time. Was it like, did you, obviously that's an awesome tick box thing you can say, like, I am technically a published board game designer. But did it actually see, like, the success that you'd like it to? Like, did you see people actually buying it, playing it?
You see a game on shelves with my name on it. It's pretty cool in stores. It was
never going to be like, oh, this is my career now.
It's not Monopoly. It's not like I can now live off this. I can retire this green with royalty payments. No. I believe there's more money in board games if you self-publish, I think, because I just let them do all the work, all the risk, and basically I just get royalty checks in the mail.
Did it spark you to go, maybe I'll come up with another game?
I did come up with a few different ideas, but nothing I was really happy enough with. And now I got distracted by other hobbies, as you do, like LARP and D&D.
You looked at your board game shelf, you had an itch of like an idea, maybe I can do this. And you got hyper-focused on that, you did it, and then it was like, and now it's done. Back to hyper-focus on LARP and D&D.
New things.
Starting a YouTube channel.
Yeah, exactly. And you've been there, done that, like, cool, I did that now. Don't really publish a board game.
I kind of feel the same. Like, I've not published any board games yet, but I definitely think that by the time I die, I will look back on my life and be like, yeah, I've got a novel in my name, and I've got a board game that I created once, and a card game maybe, and that's what I hope that my life is that, of looking back and going, yeah, I ran a YouTube channel really successful for like 10 years, and then like in 10 years' time, I'm like, the YouTube dies off because I've suddenly gone into board game publishing or whatever. I just want to be,
folks.
I just want to be the guy that's like, oh yeah, Rob. He's one of those things when you introduce somebody and it's like,
so 10 years.
He's a writer, director.
Yeah, so 10 years we spent Rob's book and board game, and so watch out.
You might be seeing my first book in less than 10 years.
Really?
Within the year.
Okay.
I'm currently working on the setting book for the Azurim campaign.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, we're going to be doing a Kickstarter for it at some point next year. And I'm writing, trying to get the setting for Azurim so that people can play a D&D game set in the world of Epic NPC Man.
Very cool.
It's a lot of work.
Yes,
but it's a lot of fun too.
Yeah.
So you were Granny Wars. You went back to. Is this around the time that the YouTube started?
So YouTube channel started actually a lot more recent than that. It was when the Dungeon Master Challenge happened.
Oh right.
So I think it's probably the next big. Yeah. So I think we'll flash forward to that's probably the next major event. A lot of D&D, a lot of things. So I started building up my own terrain collection and costumes and LARPs and things like that.
Yeah.
But then and then everything changed. The Dungeon Master Challenge happened. So
tell us about it. What was it? How did it come about for you?
So the year was 2021. All right.
If you remember.
Yeah.
Year after the pandemic started.
Yeah. So we're in the height of the pandemic. All the lockdowns here in New Zealand. I think it was during.
Because 2020 was pretty good for us. Like we had some major lockdowns, but because our government at the time was like super onto it and was like, lock us down.
Yeah.
We're an island nation, very removed from everybody else. We were able to go like no exports, no imports, whatever. Clean everything before it arrives.
Yeah.
Like they were very strict, and everybody was pretty much on board with it, and very happily as well. The opposition party, who they're known for being hating each other, they got on board as well and was like, you're right, we're working together, we're a unit against this COVID, and we did super well to have basically no deaths at first.
Yeah.
And then things started to get slack a little bit. By about 2021, there was a few times we went back into lockdown because people were getting slack about stuff and like taking things for granted and not following the rules anymore. And so it was like, oh well, it annoyed me at the time that everybody was like, we're going into all this economic debt and blah blah blah, and we don't even have COVID. Yeah, because we're winning. We're doing the things that we're meant to do, and that's why we don't have COVID.
But think of the economy. The economy.
But all this, what did it even show? We didn't even get COVID. Yeah, because we were doing it. And then people started going, blah, 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 blah. I'm not going to follow the rules. I'm not going to follow the curfews. I'm not going to follow the whatever, this, that, and the other. And I'm going to go out and have a big old birthday party. And then, now we're seeing a lot of COVID spreading out and jumping out in parts. And suddenly now we're in immediate lockdown again.
Yep. So that's a good picture of 2021 right there. Perfect. And seen.
In the heart of all of that.
Yeah, heart of all that. So I think it was part of the challenge in our lockdown at some point. Anyway, it was, so there was a call out for Wizards of the Coast, the publisher of D&D, Dungeons and Dragons.
Both of them?
Yeah, both of them. All two of them. They started this contest. They put a word out that, hey, we're going to do this Dungeon Master Challenge where we're going to find the world's ultimate Dungeon Master. for sure. And basically ask for...
Read between the lines. We're gonna put out some stuff that gets a shit ton of free content for us,
yes.
Where we have to do very little in return.
Yeah.
Cool.
So they asked to design a trap.
Mm-hmm.
So I designed a kobold trap.
Nice.
Room of beads. So it's like basically a room with a bunch of bead curtains just filling the whole room with also little trinkets, things that kobold put together. And you go in there, and the beads, rings and bells attached, like some giant rats inside the room, caves that run around in, they make spears shoot out, and like there's potions on the wall, they hit the potions, gas comes out, like it's a whole thing.
Stuff,
it's a whole thing.
I did the same. I submitted at the time for it as well. I made a trap that was Far Realm inspired. There was like a pillow that had 4 sides to it with 4 eyes. One was a beholder eye, and one was the eye of Hadar, and one of them was an Illithid eye, and one of them was an Aboleth eye. And like each of them had like a cone of vision that took up the full room between them, and you had to destroy the eye in order to break the trap.
Yeah.
Which is, I'm pretty proud of. It's a pretty cool trap. You can find it on my Patreon still.
You can find mine on DM's Guild actually.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, there you go.
So you submitted this trap. They went through all of them, chose the ones they liked.
Yes.
They got in touch with you and
so
said,
I chose,
you've been
it was
selected.
10, top 10 I think it was. Yes, so they go, hey, you're selected. You now get to write more for us for free. Excellent. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
All right then.
You're now not earning any money.
It definitely felt more like a writing challenge, to be honest. And so that's when, and this will lead up to Wild Born Witchlight, their Fae adventure, with, as you mentioned, Carnival, which I know you're quite fond of, Rob. The Witchlight Carnival.
Yeah, the Witchlight Carnival. We've used it in both of the flagship campaigns of the Viva Deadly D&D channel there.
Yeah, so they gave us an early PDF release of how to design your own Feywild domain. Right, they've since released since then, but with an early copy, which is quite cool. And they basically gave us writing challenges to design our own Fey realm, basically. Right, and I designed Slumberwood, which is like a kind of Nightmare Before Christmas kind of vibes, Halloween kind of town. It's like a Fey realm that's trying to be spooky, kind of like a Domain of Dread, but not very good at it. That's cool. Not very good.
I like that. That's fun.
There's a kind of defense mechanism trying to be spooky. Like, oh,
we're not just cute little fairies.
Yeah.
We're dangerous and scary.
Like, oh, sure you are.
Yeah. And so it kind of uses like all my kind of skills from LARP writing. So it's like kind of like, oh sweet, oh this is easy mode. Oh man, I don't. Yeah. So I designed this Fey realm, and I like having like lot of seeds to like different things going on.
Yeah.
And like the depths worlds, I like having the deep lore.
So it was mostly like a world building thing for that first challenge?
Yeah, so it was world building.
Build yourself a section of the Feywild.
Yeah. And then they had follow-up challenges like kind of focusing down, all right, now tell us more about the Archfey rules here. Right, yeah. Or tell us more about like design a magic item to be here or a hazard that would be here. Okay, that's very specific. 1,000 words on hazards. One hazard, okay. Wow, okay. Design a monster that'll be in here, sort of thing. Right.
So the whole challenge was sort of deeper levels of the world building of the Feywild?
Yeah. And as we, on that our particular domain we designed, Domain of Delight. And with each week that went by, they would basically eliminate someone. Like, you got a weakest link goodbye, so to meet various challenge requirements or just weren't good enough for whatever reason the judges had, judged by Amanda Hammond from WotC, B.J. Walters, and...
Who's coming over to check out the studio later this year.
Yeah.
While I'm travelling.
Yeah.
Which is brilliant.
Yeah, and Jennifer Kritchner, I hope that's right. So they're the judging panel. And so they eliminated each week, as well as giving kind of general video feedback on what they thought. But the video feedback, they release the video feedback each week publicly. So it's on the YouTube channel. You can find us on the D&D official YouTube channel still. They released it, but they didn't tell you who's they're talking about. It's all keeping secret. So it's like, it's about Slumberwood, but don't, because they try to keep, for some reason, while they're keeping secrets, they don't know, no one knows who wrote what. Okay. I don't know to what end that was, but it made it very hard to kind of promote.
They're talking about, look at all the good feedback, they're talking about my product.
Yeah, it's hard.
And you were not allowed to be like,
I couldn't really tell.
Stuff.
Yeah. So like, all right. So, oh well.
But now you can go back and say these videos.
And I have.
Have you got that as a playlist on your YouTube channel?
I do, yes. Yeah. You can find the whole playlist on my YouTube channel, as well as Slumberwood. I put everything as a PDF. I put on Dungeon Masters Guild as well, so you can find it on there too.
So little by little, they eliminate people. Was there ever a time you're like, I'm not making it past this round?
Every week was like very nervous.
What was your least favorite part? Like the hazard? It sounds like.
Hazard was tricky.
What did you actually do for the hazard?
So the hazard, I had like I had these dream bubbles that were the hazards. So basically, they were these bubbles that contain dreams of the various denizens of this Fey realm.
Right.
And so players get trapped in them, and then they experience a dream of someone in this realm. So it gets a plot delivery of what's going on here. Cool. It's in the bubble, and they can't see what's going on outside the bubble. The bubble's still floating upwards. So you kind of need to pop and get out and know what's going on, and not whoa. Yeah. So that was kind of my dream bubble hazard.
That's cool. What a cool idea.
Yeah. So again, I like delivering like seeds of lore and like plots going on.
Yeah.
So,
that's how I like to run my encounter. Like every encounter should have some sort of purpose. Like,
exactly.
Ideally, you're learning something about the world by this encounter.
Not just, it's a pit trap. Why? Because there's a hole.
There's a hole, I guess. Yeah.
Like, okay, cool.
It should have some lore as to why would there be a pit trap here. What's at the bottom of it, and what are they gonna like? If they fall into the pit trap, there's a dead guy down there, and they can loot him and find out something about why that guy was here. Yeah, there's always something to gain. From
Like there's a whole bit of plot with like the archfey is missing and kind of that sort of thing, and
so little by little, they kept getting rid of people. You kept being like, "Hey, I made it another level." And you got down to the final three.
Yes.
That's when they stopped doing the eliminations, right?
Yep.
They were just like, "We're going to choose the winner from this."
Yes.
Which is an interesting choice. Like, what did they give any reason as to why it was like they choose the last one from the final three rather than going down to two and then choosing one? Like,
actually, one of the final three, they did like a challenge. So this is where actually you need to run a D&D game now for these celebrities, right? Live on online, and at that point I'd never really done much online D&D, so I was like, okay, all right. And so we were given. Also, they did the whole game show twist thing, which I don't love it because it was like an opportunity to showcase my work. Instead, it was you get to run someone else's work. So one of the contestants is writing. I got the run.
So you have to make a D&D game. And then
someone
run
else
somebody else.
Yeah, and run someone else's. Yeah.
Oh, that's stupid and shit.
Yeah, and we had to showcase.
That's not clever. That's an objectively bad decision.
Yeah, and so then we had to run, and you had to.
The whole point is find the best dungeon master in the world. Yeah. Like it's a dungeon master's challenge. The dungeon master makes the game that they're going to run, and then they run it the way that they intended to run it.
So I had to. So I was given.
Stupid.
So I was given everyone's writing, right? This one, it was Andrew Brzezinski, his writing on his domain that he wrote, and so I had to run a 1 hour session. It was a 1 hour D&D session.
1 hour. That's what are they think? Do the people designing the Dungeon Master Challenge not play Dungeons and Dragons?
So it was a 1 hour. I designed a 1 hour scenario that also covers like majority of the writing, the different hazards and traps and diseases that were written as well.
Include everything
in there.
Make a combat encounter, a roleplay encounter,
and just cram it onto 1 hour, and and you kind of like also include that 1 hour is like also kind of meeting all the people the first time at the table, because the first time meeting the judges as well. They got in like.
So you didn't get like a time beforehand to introductions?
No, it was just kind of like, hey, hello, and you're live. Off you go. You've got 1 hour starting now, so it's like, oh, that eats into more time, doesn't it? So I did not think that would eat into my 1 hour time, so that actually kind of threw me off a little bit while I was running my game, because I was like, oh, I even got even this time to cram everything in. Wonderful. So
you got 50 minutes to run an entire standalone game.
Yeah.
On which you are then going to be judged as who's the best dungeon master.
Yeah. So it was table 5, like Matthew Liv was in there.
And they somehow, and then they've given themselves more work because they now have to pass out the differences between the content and the way you were running it.
Yeah.
Because a good dungeon master would be able to take content from like a module, a pre-written thing, and make it their own and make it good. Yeah. So now, but it's not a module, it's not a so they don't know necessarily which parts you were embellishing and adding through your dungeon master skills.
There's a thin line I had to walk, because like, what kind of respects, the work I was given, that's nice work, but also like, I kind of want to showcase my own style as well. All within 1 hour. So you can watch that fun 1 hour game of me slowly panicking
I bet.
On the DD channel today.
When did they tell you, oh, by the way, it's going to be somebody else's work? Like,
also, we were given 48 hours.
48 hours.
Prep time.
48 hour prep time. Here's the module you're going to be running in 2 days' time.
Good luck.
Okay.
Yeah, so I was like frantically reading and go, okay, call some friends up, hey, I need like
Were you able to
tomorrow night? I need to run a playtest game.
Right.
I quickly play some friends together. I'm gonna playtest the scenario. Come
try
up
and
with.
get the timing right?
Yeah,
make
yeah.
sure that my pacing is right. Make sure the balance of the encounters is right. Did you have the opportunity to contact the guy who actually wrote the campaign and like ask him clarification when you said this?
No, we're not really like we're
encouraged
yeah.
to cooperate because you're competitive.
Yeah, since then we've like
Because
we've got
in this collaborative board game that we play, this collaborative storytelling game, it's the best environment is to make you competitive against other dungeon masters and to directly compare you to other dungeon masters. That's the best way to get good dungeon master skills. To be like, you're better than that guy.
Yes.
Cool. Yeah.
So that's why I'm now the top 3 dungeon master in the world. Right? So,
you're one of the top 3 dungeon masters in the world.
Yeah, Dungeon Master 2021 means I'm the top 3 dungeon master in the world, the top dungeon master in the Southern Hemisphere.
Yeah.
Riverside Rod.
Yeah.
That's how it works.
Only until later this year because I'm nominated for a Crit Award for Best Dungeon Master in the Best Dungeon Master category. So then I'll be able to just lord that over everybody if I win. So.
Yeah, looking forward to that.
But I am up against that Bronze Girl Jasmine, so I'm probably not going to win that.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
Yeah.
So you went into the last three for the final round. You ran this game for them, and then they announced congratulations to the winner.
Well, they had a they're very challenging channel that games show vibe, right? So they sent us a lock briefcase. So all this is a lock briefcase with a combination lock. I'm not need to open it.
Did it arrive like a month late because it's New Zealand?
No, they paid good money to ship this locked like briefcase to me, which I still got. And it was all like D&D branded up and everything. And like a little padlock on it with a combination lock, which I definitely did not crack.
I was going to say how many numbers because it doesn't take that long to break a combination lock.
Yeah, I think it was like 3 numbers. So anyway, I definitely didn't crack it. I definitely did not crack that lock. Anyway, so live on, you can't prove anything. We were live, and so it was live on D&D Celebration 2021. Again, you can find us all still on the YouTube, official YouTube channel for D&D. They had
was it in the place of D&D Live, the convention that they used to do?
Maybe. I lost track. They all kind of blur together.
Yeah, right. They had D&D Live for a few years. In 2020, they'd reached out to me and Viva guys saying, we'll fly you over first class, we'll put you up in a 5-star hotel, you'll be on stage with like some of the Critical Role guys and the Dimension 20 and stuff, you'll be at D&D Live. And it was going to be, I was like, it's the closest I've come to feeling like starstruck. I've met some amazing like A-lister celebrities and stuff in my time as an actor. And I've never really felt starstruck, but hearing like, holy shit, you're going to be flown out to D&D Live, this convention, and meet Matt Mercer and all this, I was like hyperventilating. Yeah. And then I was like, wait a minute. Things are starting to close down now, because this was like February 2020. Yeah. Things are starting to close. What is this COVID thing I'm hearing a lot about?
We're going online. Everything's online now.
And then D&D Live got cancelled, but they were looking at ways of trying to move things online instead. Yeah. So I think the Dungeon Master Challenge was similar. I think the finale announcement was in an equivalent to instead of doing the Dungeon Masters Dungeons and Dragons Live. Yeah.
So each of us had lock briefcases live on camera, and we got to unlock it live in front of everyone. And basically, if you opened it up and there was a mimic inside, you lost. If you opened up, there's a red dragon inside. Hey, you win! You're the winner! I got mimic. I was like, alas. But
thrown across the
that's it. I mean, I still got a lot of cool prizes actually. There's been a lot of books and stuff.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
And well, it's my first video on the on my YouTube channel, The Cutting Words. I was unboxing my prize packs from the Dust Challenge.
Nice.
So there we go.
So you were like, let's try and ride this wave of like people 100%. Know my name a little bit now. People know I got down to the final 3 of this challenge. I must be good. I must know my stuff about Dungeons and Dragons at least. Let's try and keep them over onto the challenge. To my channel. Did you see success in that, or do people only tend to click on the things that they like? And then
again, because the promotion of the Dungeon Master Challenge wasn't handled very well, because they're trying to do that secret game show nature, meant that there wasn't like a huge wave. No. And like even then, I go to people, I'll show up at cafes or go around town where I go, hey, I'm actually Dungeon Master Challenge 2021. I'm actually one of the top Dungeon Masters in the world. And people go, okay. Free coffee? No, it doesn't work. It never works. Never works.
I mean, the one thing that can be said over the years is that while Wizards of the Coast seem to try branch out and do different things, tangential and supplemental stuff to D&D, they're terrible at promoting.
Yeah.
They had a whole streaming service, a whole channel of like content with actual plays and cooking shows and stuff. That it's my full-time job to do Dungeons and Dragons things. You'd think it would filter down to me at least. I never heard about it until after it was like basically cancelled because it never got ratings. Like, of course it didn't get ratings. The people who do it for a living full-time didn't even hear about the thing that it was on. It's only when I was chatting with people at Gen Con last year who were like in it and they were telling me about it, and I was like, oh yeah, I think I heard about the absolute shenanigans that went on with like the promotion of that. They're not good at like promoting what they're doing. Yeah, weird. Which is bizarre.
Yeah. Oh, it keeps us in the game in the business. At least me when I'm doing some news coverage and things like that. Well, they're terrible at promoting stuff. How about I just make a video about it? There you go. There you go.
I think that might be genuinely like part of why they don't really care about promoting stuff, because they feel like, everybody's talking about Dungeons and Dragons. The creators will end up making videos about it. We don't have to pay for promotional work, or we don't have to put any work into marketing because we know that we're going to get free marketing from creators and influencers and So you decided at this point, let's start a channel. You started cutting words. Your first content was unboxing the prizes that they'd sent you.
That's right.
And that was your intent, like going forwards. Like, I'll be an unboxer guy. I'll be like a reviewer guy.
Yeah, I definitely did, and I'm still kind of like considering maybe some live play, but it's definitely like it's a very oversaturated market. And I was like, let's just talk about the game, review stuff, talk about like how to run adventures. Like one of my more successful videos was my series on how to run Wild Wonder, which like, man, I love W's in there. Since I just ran a whole Fey challenge, right? So I was like,
how to run it, how you would run it.
Yeah.
I had a similar start when I was deciding to like make D&D creation my full-time thing. I was like, there's a lot of actual play out there. I do want to run one, but I'd need it to be I'd need it to be a niche. I'd need something stand out or special about it, or the way that I run it. I'll get around to it eventually. In the meantime, I'll do these sorts of videos and these sorts of videos. And over the years, I just became a sort of D&D variety streamer. Yeah. Like I call myself a D&D variety streamer in the terms of like a lot of Twitch streamers are variety streamers because they play Super Mario and then they play Resident Evil and then they play all these different games that are completely different in genre and whatever, and they're just like, I don't want to tie myself down to one thing. In the same way, I do Dungeons and Dragons related stuff. So I do short rests with other people in the community. I do.
That's what we're doing right now.
That is self-referential.
Whoa.
There's a tavern set up of us doing the thing that we're doing now as I talk about the thing that we're doing.
So meta, Rob.
So crazy. Masturbatory. But no, I do all sorts of other the behind the scenes of the latest episode of the Viva stuff, so I can talk about how that went. I do a live play, but it's I managed to find that niche, that thing that sets me apart from everybody else by doing it as an interactive game on my Twitch. Yeah, because I thought like if I'm gonna do an actual play on Twitch, I'm gonna make it make sense as to why I'm doing it on Twitch.
Yeah, I find it niche. That's like
why would I need to do it on Twitch, which is a live streaming platform, rather than YouTube, where I could have produced it ahead of time. Yeah. The thing that makes Twitch unique is you can interact with the audience directly. So I'm going to use that, and so I made a whole series about everybody in the chat is hive mind controlling one single character, and I'm controlling the whole thing. So I found myself as a variety streamer, and while I still want to do actual play at some point. It's down the line.
It's a lot of work.
It's down the line. It's so much work. And the scheduling of finding all the people who are engaged and finding a cast that is engaging and fun, while also not being so engaging and fun that they're completely busy with all of the other work that it's throwing at them. Because if they're so engaging and fun, why are they free? Why are they free to join my table every week? Like they're probably getting a lot of work as an actor or a comedian or whatever. And if they haven't getting a lot of work as an actor and comedian, then they're in demand, which means they're not going to be good for scheduling. Finding that Venn diagram of like they're perfect for D&D and content creation and like being engaging while also being able to commit to all of the work that they would need to for an actual play.
Crazy.
Let's talk about terrain.
Sure.
So people may have clicked on this and may have heard about this because a couple of times I've shouted you out in thanks for providing a whole bunch of free terrain. It's very generous of you to just lend us all sorts of bunch of stuff. Where did you start on your journey of collecting?
So I have an addiction role.
I
can stop whatever I want.
People have picked up on that from your discussions about how you got into LARP and D&D and was straight into
I don't hyper focus
addictive personality.
just load up on many things all at once when I get into hobby. So let's see, during lockdowns, another fun thing I did during lockdowns was I learned how to paint miniatures.
Okay.
So I got into miniature painting and building a miniature collection, and as well as terrain. I had some previously, I was sort of building up. Actually, one of my players gifted me my first set of Warforged.
Oh, that's nice.
They had a bunch of bought, and Brad, you can have it. Here you go, running the game. And so the first set's free, like any good run.
Yeah, you go.
And well, you know it, like, it's great, but I need other terrain from Warforged that matches this, and it's all kind of snowballed from there. And I absolutely love the stuff, doing the builds, and I even gone now with my terrain, taking it further up from just home games and learning to roll, of course. I run even events, say Armageddon, like conventions, things like that. I've built large kind of mega dungeons because I really like the Critical Role. I think it's probably my first notice Warforged, right? I think it's where everyone first noticed Warforged and Critical Role, right? Matt Mercer's dungeon builds and setups, and I'm like, I want to do that. And so built these epic dungeon builds with smoke machines and lights as well, and magnetic traps you can stick in, and things pop up, hidden secret doors, and built these dungeon displays for conventions, also for players to experience. Like you got 1 hour to run through this dungeon, beat Vecna. Good luck,
good luck.
Speed run. The experience this cool dungeon setup that otherwise, how often do you get to play around with this kind of stuff? So I kind of share it around.
And as you can see, it can make all sorts of. You can really get into the weeds. Like just before the short rest, I was like trying to set up an equivalent of the tavern that we're in at the moment. And I was really getting into the weeds of like these tiny little bar stools to represent the bar stools behind us, and the details.
Yes.
Before you know it, you spent hours creating all of this immersive kind of terrain.
Yeah. Well,
the fun thing I like about Dungeons & Dragons minis and terrain and stuff, that just tabletop role playing games and stuff.
It's modular. I didn't break it. I just
is that like there's a huge variety of what you can get into. Dwarven Forge is very three-dimensional and immersive and like really detailed, and you can get into all sorts of whatever you want to get into. You can get as deep with it as you want, but also it's incredibly expensive. Yes. It's very bulky as well because it is so detailed and three-dimensional. You got to bring it around in massive storage boxes and store it in ways that are not going to scratch each other up as you're moving it about and stuff. Whereas like that's down one end of the scale with Dwarven Forge, that you can spend your whole hobby like enjoying like the.
There was like a whole weekend painting these tavern up these buildings.
If you
rock for
like
recently,
and it was much appreciated. You can see all these wall pieces in use in the finale of Tales of the Misfits, which may not have come out yet. I don't know when this one's going to come out. But it's best for when you have expendable cash that you can put into something like this. When you enjoy all aspects of it, like you enjoy the shopping around and finding the bits that you want and adding to your cart, and that's enjoyment for you. And then you enjoy the aspect of like painting it up and taking all the time to like get all the details in. Then you also enjoy the aspect of like creatively coming up with how you're going to
interesting encounters for the D&D games and things.
And you hopefully enjoy the organizational aspect of like how do I store these things? So
a dedicated room basically look area with shelves and boxes and everything sorted and labeled.
And then the other things that I love about like D&D terrain and whatnot is that like there's more accessible ones of like they're cheaper, or they're like the floor of this terrain piece. I had the lady who designed them on a short rest recently, Modular Realms, where this is much better for the sort of the guy who doesn't have a lot of time to be putting into painting and whatever. They can come pre-painted. You also maybe don't have the resources for going along with a massive box full of things, and you can just have them all flat packed. They're modular, so you can turn them around and things. And then, of course, after that as well, you can also go a step down and just be like, here's a whiteboard and some markers.
100%. I still do that for some of my games. Sometimes, like, you know what? I haven't got a room built for this encounter.
There's map book options like you've seen on the games that I've run with the Viva guys as well, like the Loki battle maps books. That's like, I need a forest. Flip. There's a forest. I find that really useful as well. And then finally, you're down to like using whatever you've got on the table. This is the monster. you're fighting that thing now. It's a dragon. Just think it's a dragon.
Don't worry about it, guys.
This is he's got a line of fire. Yeah, that'll do it.
Yeah, well, it's so many sounds, so many creatures, right? Sometimes you're like, you know what, close enough. This miniature monster, it's like roughly the same size.
Right.
You know, use your imagination.
M&Ms as goblins, so that when you kill them, you get to eat them, or jelly beans or whatever.
Delicious.
And then right down the other end of the scale is just theatre of mind. You don't use anything at all, and it's all up in here. And as long as you're good at describing it and keeping a track in your mind as to where everything is, you can be like, oh yeah, you're still about 35 players.
Yeah, especially with like a combat where it's like it's one guy.
Are
you next to one guy or not next to the one guy?
Right.
Whatever. We don't need to.
Can I get two of them within 30 feet?
Yeah. Yeah, we don't need to build something here. It's fine.
And I just love that. I love that D&D is accessible for all these different people who have like different niches, because there will be people who adore this, but hate the organizational aspect of like knowing where everything is, or don't have the time to put it all together. Yeah. Like, and I think I fall into that camp. Like, I've really enjoyed putting together the like huge immersive 3-dimensional things because I know that it's a paid job for Viva the Dirt League, and I can put in the time for it. It's all part of my prep work. I can come around your place, and between the two of us, we can be like, okay, so here's what I have planned for them. It's going to be an underwater fight with a giant or whatever. And you go, okay, well, I've got some underwater tiles, and I've got this, and I've got that. And then you always bring out stuff that I'm like, ooh, yes, let me put that in. And then I have to stop. Nope. No, it's getting too much now. I'm gilding the lily. There's too much going on. It's too busy. But it's a great aspect of doing that because I know I have the time for it. Whereas if I was doing a home game, I frequently use my Modular Realms tiles for home games and things because I often don't have the time for home games.
Honestly, Dwarf Forge is best for boss fights, like a big epic, like impressive boss fight. Especially you know it's definitely going to happen at some point.
Exactly.
So ready to go.
Which is when people tend to see it in the Viva games. Like if it's something that I haven't really planned, I'll probably just do Theatre of Mind or a map book or something, maybe the Modular Realms. But if it's something that I'm like, this is an encounter around which the entire next table session is built. Yeah. I know that they are going underwater. I know they're going to deal with this giant. I know that they're going to go into a volcano. And you can be like, ooh, my new volcano piece that actually has smoke coming out of it.
Well, smoke effects.
If you know it's going to happen, Dwarven Forge is great because you don't necessarily need to invest everything into getting every possible Dwarven Forge bit. You can just be like, I know I'm going to need a lava piece, and I can repurpose this underwater cliff to kind of look like lava if I just surround it by lava tiles.
Oh yeah, I definitely started off buying things that were more generic that I can utilize multiple different directions before I get specialized. Okay, now what a specific piece for this specific thing.
So without getting your accountant mad at us, give me a ballpark. How much have you spent on terrain minis over the years?
Terrain and minis.
Oh,
all right.
Give me how many digits are we talking?
It'll be 5 digits. New Zealand dollars.
So we're in the 10,000s of dollars.
Yeah.
Are we on the high end of that?
I don't think we're the high end. No.
So somewhere around $20,000.
Yeah, we'll say that. We'll say that.
It's a lot of money.
But
over the years,
I love it.
And it's about whether you've got the enjoyment out of it. Like, do you use a piece once and throw it away? No, you try and use it for all of your games. And
put a shelf behind me in my YouTube videos.
Do you find your players at your home games and stuff will help you piece things together? Like they enjoy the aspect of also helping you to design the encounter, or do you come out with something that's pre-made?
Mine, I built it myself. Don't touch my stuff.
Touch my stuff.
My precious is precious to me. No.
gotta keep them exactly how I want them.
Yes. Often I do the build ahead of time.
Right. And you get enjoyment from that aspect of it.
Yes. Even my kids do actually. I didn't have to play with it. Who needs Lego? You got
let your kids touch.
Yeah.
And do you buy it for cheaper because it's unpainted when it arrives and then you paint it? You can buy pre-painted.
Yeah. So I used to buy pre-painted. But now these days I'm more on painting. I get it unpainted. I paint it myself. Just takes more time and effort.
But it saves money.
Yeah.
And you get extra enjoyment. Extra enjoyment out of it. Because now you're getting the. Do you do it while you're like watching podcasts or something?
Watching the telly or something. Yeah. Let's do a quick roll or something.
Yeah, right. It's one of the only ways to keep up with something that says 4 hours a week.
Yeah, like 4 hours. All right.
It's just their flagship, and then they make all this other stuff that they're doing with the beacon and the studios and stuff. It's impossible to keep up with. Yeah. There's so many Dimension 20s that I can't even keep up with, and they're like 2 hours.
Yeah, I'm well behind those.
Yeah, I'm just about finishing Crown of Candy finally. I've got a couple more episodes to go on that one. So you made a massive collection. What
Yes.
what do you use for your storage of your minis and terrain?
Well, I have a lot of boxes from Kmart. You spend no expense on storage boxes.
Can't afford to spend expense on this. You spent 20 grand on the.
The cheapest of plastic containers, but they serve nicely. They fit the shelves. We've got a dedicated shelf. I have like this kind of nook area. You've seen it. You won't. But
I think they've seen like an up close of it on my Instagram stories sometimes.
And they're just kind of stacked in there. All the terrain labeled different categories.
Little drawers of like these are the undead and these are the
ghosts.
ghosts.
For the minis, yes. So the minis have got more. I think they're like screw store boxes, like full screw bits and things like that, or whatever. Like storage containers.
Fishing tackle boxes. Yeah. Like all those things you can get.
So I've got shelves of those of various sizes, different mini categories, different monster. Yeah.
Nice. How did your involvement with Viva la Dirt League come about? How did I originally contact you to get things?
Yeah,
I
so
can't fully remember.
it was. I just showed up one day, Rob.
You just showed up with a bunch of stuff, and I was like, "Yeah, I'll take that."
All right.
I'll make an encounter.
Okay. No, it was through Jimmy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
So
the art and props and costumes.
yes.
Yeah.
So Jimmy, I knew through LARPing. So Jimmy, I had done some previous business with Viva Dirt League through Jimmy because they borrowed a lot of my costuming for the Bayland routes.
Right. Yeah.
Because they had a lot more costuming for that at the time, so they borrowed a lot of my gear.
So you can watch Balin's route and be like, "That's mine. That's mine."
Those are my boots there, and it's like cool. And as well as like the Death Knight, the original Death Knight armor is my armor.
Oh right.
He was wearing there.
The one that is that the one that Ben plays with the
So that's it's my armor.
Oh, cool.
He's wearing.
That's really
stuff,
cool. Cool claim to fame.
Should
get in the comments and be like, "That's me."
That's me. I think I did actually.
From the Cutting Words channel. So people can see.
So they started borrowing some costuming through Jimmy, because he used to be work here, and eventually he reached out going, "Hey, do you like D&D terrain or like D&D stuff?" I said, "Yeah," and I think I saw a few pictures, and then before I know it, you were like around my house.
I just didn't know.
And we built that Frost Giants fight encounter.
Yeah, was that one the first one? Yeah, it was, wasn't it? Because we had the
crystals.
Yeah, the crystals. Yeah, because I think that's it actually. I think because up until that point I was using map books and stuff. Modular Realms had made me a couple of amazing pieces. The first time that they meet the Dirt League inside the tree. Yeah. Those like tree pieces were specially made for me. Thank you, Annabelle from Modular Realms. But I knew for this glacier piece, I knew for this like huge thing, I needed something. So in that you can see the Modular Realms river tiles, like the frozen rivers that she made, and lots of like ice pieces. But I needed something that made it more 3-dimensional and more like epic looking. I guess like these things are really good for making your walls on the fly like this. But again, you're gonna be left with this sort of like boxy kind of thing that's great for on the fly. But something that I wanted was the crystals you gave me that had the lights underneath, the tea lights, so that it had this like glittering immersive thing. And then your frost giant. I wanted the reveal of the frost giant that he was originally trapped in ice, and then he could break away parts of him. So I knew kind of an idea of what I wanted. Yeah. And you were like, "Here's what I got."
Yeah. So that stuff was 3D printed. Not all my terrain is still forged. Most of it is. But I do have things like crystals that are 3D printed. Mm-hmm. So my trees you've used lately have been 3D printed. Yeah. Yeah.
Have you ever repurposed terrain from other like board games? Any like Massive Darkness and stuff?
Yes. So I stole a lot of minis from Massive Darkness, added to my mini collection, goblins and things like that. Really, board games are a great source for getting bulk minis, especially starting out. Like my original mini collection, when I first started D&D, building up some minis, were the D&D board games they had, like Legend of Dritz, and the other ones, Castle Ravenloft, and whatever, Shadowlong, or something like that. So basically, I bought all those board games on like second hand, and just basically don't care the board game, throw them away, take the minis out, painted all them up. Or some of them painted up. Painted the big ones up, and the little minis actually is unpainted because minions are quite nice just to have unpainted. It's like just minions, don't worry about it.
It's a good way of reminding the players. Don't worry.
They're not important. The big painted.
Don't name them. Stop giving them backstories.
Yeah,
he's not painted.
Yeah.
Just he's there to be killed.
Yeah, they're cannon fodder. So that's why I first started getting minis, and so board games are a great source of bulk minis to get you started in your collection. And then you can start printing custom minis or buying the whiz kids like booster bricks, which I do unboxing of regularly, so you can check my channel for those. And whatnot.
I started with Lego. The way that I started it, because I knew I had a shit ton of Lego from when I was a kid. Me and my two older brothers, but because they're older, got passed down to me a little sooner, and so I ended up with all these boxes and boxes and boxes of Lego. And so I started out just being like, they're interchangeable. You can create whatever character you want. You can make yourself look like you want, and then. And at that point, I started keeping an eye out for like fantasy-based Lego, fantasy-themed Lego, so that I could get some interchangeable heads of different fantasy races and stuff.
Me and my wife went through a Lego phase.
Yeah.
We have a lot of Lego in storage. We know where to put it because there's so much Lego. We've got Isengard and Simpsons House, and always ridiculous amounts of Lego sets, and we went through a phase.
So one of my partners, her mum recently went through all of their Lego because they're all grown up and have their own stuff going on now, so none of them needed Lego anymore. So she went through all the different Lego boxes and started like actually piecing them together, following the rules, and being like, okay, this is the Lego set for the Harry Potter whatever tower, so that she could sell them as like a full complete set. This is the tower, and it was a mission. In the garage there was just like these tables and tables of Lego spread out. She was finding different pieces for the different. Trying to like consolidate them into all of the different ones. Because obviously once you've spent a lot of time with Lego, especially with kids, you end up just with boxes, and if you're lucky they've got some sort of color coordination or whatever, but you've completely lost which set it originally came from.
Legos we looked at, kids, stay away. I've built this. It's on the shelf now. Don't touch it. No playing with it.
Don't touch it. It'll go missing. The pieces will go missing from it. I was really pleased with the Lego phase of my D&D stuff though, because I would make the monsters they were going to fight, and I would have a lot of fun with like going through my Lego and looking for the pieces of.
Do you break bits off? Like who would break the arm off?
Yeah, because the Lego men you can actually pop the arms off without damaging the piece, and suddenly his arm's missing. Or you can take a piece, you can take the legs out and put it inside of the frog mouth that you've just made or whatever. I made a little roper that I was so proud of. It sits on my desk in front of my computer now, so that I can show it off on stream. But yeah, I was super happy with the little Lego roper that I made. And I made like an ant egg at some point out of various different pieces. It's a lot of fun. Man, I love D&D. So you got all of these this terrain. You've been over the years been accruing more and more. Yes. What is the next piece on the horizon that you don't yet have something that you're wanting? Like, is there a particular terrain type?
Always more things I want more. Probably more urban stuff. So I've like just recently got this kind of what's happening stuff. These couple of buildings are built, so more so I can build like an urban environment, quite cool, as well as can you never have too much elevation, you know? So recently I had those cliffs pieces, where for outdoor environments we have like different levels to it. So more of that because I love elevation. That's one of the big reasons I think Tour and Fortune's 3D terrain in general was just so cool. They had an extra dimension to a battle. People up on it. Like a wizard on a ledge, it's like, how do you deal with this person? It's just
because I did that for, if they go way back to like episode 17 in the flagship campaign, they were fighting the Hill Giant. And I deliberately put like 3 levels into that cave because I liked the idea of it. I liked how it looked. I had the Hill Giant up on the top one at first, and they had to sort of lure him down. But those pieces were from, I can't even remember the name of them now, Warlock something.
Oh, the Warlock tiles, yes.
Warlock tiles, and they're not usable. They're just so bad. Because they're not magnetic terrain that just clicks together nice and easy. It's like, they're all pieces like this, but they've got holes in the sides of each, and then you've got like tiny little plastic connectors that you've got to click in. But it's like, click, and it goes in, and then you click, and then sometimes it'll slip, and I tore my fingers up the day before that Hill Giant fight was filmed. I was up till like 2 a.m. just trying to piece all of that together, and my fingers were bleeding by the end of it because I kept clicking and wrestle, and you had to use pliers to try and like get them out if you put them in the wrong place.
I play a bit of Warlock tiles like Magnus where it's at.
Magnus where it's at, absolutely.
Magic, how do Magnus work? Who knows?
Nobody knows. Magic. Nobody knows. Tides go in, tides go out. Nobody knows.
Crazy.
What was I saying? So you've got all of these different things. What's your next? You want more urban stuff?
More urban stuff, more elevation.
More elevations. Have you got all of the like terrain? Like if you go down the Rangers list of like favorite terrains, have you got pieces for all of those things? You've got Arctic, you've got coast.
Oh, different.
You've got
not
forests.
No. Like I've got enough like
terrain.
I got some water, like I got different rocks and things like that. So sometimes you can kind of fudge it. Like, it's close enough, you know.
Just a
swamp. It's close enough.
You can
whatever, like. I try and cover as much as I can, but some things are really niche, like ice, for example. How often do you eat ice?
Yeah. Unless you're going to be running something like Rhyme of the Frostmage.
Yeah, we can get away with like using cabins and then maybe try and blue light on it and like something
make it
cold
look cold.
cave. You know, you can do a few tricks
or
like
use that fog machine that you get for the volcano piece. Just without the volcano and just have the fog.
I have a bigger fog machine than that, Rob. So we can have we can fog roll across the whole table. Of course, it makes everything wet.
Makes everything wet.
That's the thing.
I was in the Crown of Candy, the Dimension 21. They are fighting in a thing with a fog machine at one point, and very quickly there's just huge puddles on the board.
Yeah, it's great video for doing close shots of minis though. So I don't do that for my unboxing videos. Like close shots of minis with epic fog and things like that.
Very cool. So that kind of gets us onto the YouTube unboxing stuff of like how much have you learned over the years of like how to make an interesting video, like.
I did study.
Could just be you just filming yourself going slit. Oh, they gave me this. Oh, they gave me this. And thanks for watching. But like, what do you employ?
Yeah, so a lot of editing for unboxing. So it's a lot. I find the most work unboxing videos because you got to record unboxing everything and talking about everything, and then you got the separately shots of the close up of the mini and like I got a photo box. With a nice white infinity screen background, and on a rotating platform,
very clever,
very close-up shot on my fancy camera, and DSLR. So got a shot there, record that, and then also got to build the terrain and import the minis in the terrain with a fog machine and some lights and things.
Jeez,
film all that and edit it all together. So it's quite a lot of work.
How long do you put into a video, and how long is the video?
So for the ones like that require like editing, they can be hours and hours of work for like a 20-minute video. Because all the editing required and just for different sets from filming. But for like say something I'm just talking about like the latest Anaris Arcana or something like a PDF on screen. I was talking about it. That's like doesn't require as much editing. Just edit out the I was burped there or something. Just cut that out. It's embarrassing. Oh, whatever. Quick snips. But otherwise, it's mostly live. Check it over. So I only watched it over once. It's always fun watching yourself. Over and over again.
Yeah,
so
I love psychic damage.
That's the best part of the job.
That's what I sound like. That's what I look like.
Wonderful.
Especially if it flips it. So you're used to seeing yourself flipped like in a mirror.
Yeah.
But as soon as you see an image of yourself where it's like what other people see of you, you're like, that's what people see. I'm all on the wrong side.
But it's even a lot faster now. I've built the studio. So that was a few years ago. I built the studio. Right. So the early videos, I was just out in the living room. Since I built this space under my house. Yeah. Little basement area.
Basement studio.
Yeah. With all the shelves and the lights and the minis and things.
Nice.
So I've got the Pum camera set up, so I can sit down.
Do you have like a particular length that you try and aim for with your videos?
I try to go as short as I can, but sometimes, you fully don't go.
What to talk about?
Oh no! Like when I did the whole Vecna book. I did it like an hour 40 or something. But I did the whole adventure just talking about general decisions about this. That's how I change it. Yeah. And like all that. I didn't mean to make a feature-length video, but sometimes it happens.
It happens, yeah. I sometimes I look at like other people who create videos. I remember maybe a couple of years ago now I saw Ginny D do a video that was like a day in the life of me. Just like a little expose, I guess, of what she gets up to in a day. And she was like, I get up, I do this, I do that, I answer emails, I answer my Patreon, yada yada. Then I write the script for the video, and then I put my costume and makeup on, and then I shoot the video, and then I edit the video, and then I export it and I put it up. And I'm like, all of that in a day? What do you mean? What do you mean? How do you export it in a day? It takes me overnight to export. And then I was like, oh yeah, it's because she's making a few minute videos, and my Twitch tales are like 3 hours long sometimes. I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. All of my work is expanded because it's like 3 hours of editing and then 3 hours of exporting and rendering and whatever else, and it always takes way longer than you expect. The editing is so much longer than people know.
Yeah. At least I got a post-production background, so I enjoy editing. So I'm like, it's fun. Just chop it up.
Do you have an intern that pre-looks for all of the genitalia for you and gives you your genitalia?
I don't have any of that.
Yes, sir. Here's the penis needs.
No intern, alas.
That's why there's so many penises in your stuff.
Yeah, if you look closely, if you watch my videos over and over again, eventually you'll notice it. So just keep this on loop.
Just keep on looping.
And then if you come up,
you gotta watch until eventually.
Yeah, you'll get it. You'll see it eventually.
Some of the minis have just got teeny little dong that's not been rendered out.
Yeah, perfect.
So what are you working on at the moment? What are you working towards?
What am I working towards?
What's on the near horizon first? We'll go towards like the end game kind of stuff. But like, Current into near future.
Wow. Well, I just finished. It was supposed to be Kiwi RPG Week.
Okay. Yeah,
as I'm recording right now, I don't know when this is coming out, but last week was Kiwi RPG Week when this recorded. There's a date this video for you, and so just did a live play game for Monster of the Week. Right. That was quite fun. Got to be a player on a live play game.
Oh, nice.
That was fun. Obviously DM'd a few, but
what was the channel?
This is on the Kiwi RPG channel, so it's an official channel.
Right. Monster of the Week. Monster of the Week's a fun one.
Yeah, designed by Mike Sands, New Zealander. So so we showcased that.
Very cool.
So it's good fun. So yeah, I'm definitely after that. Maybe I do try some live play, more of that. Maybe a sort of format because there's a lot of scheduling things like that.
Yeah.
Otherwise, probably making more videos, more content. Working on probably next Mega Dungeon for Armageddon, that sort of thing.
Yeah. So the Armageddon, that's our answer to a nerd convention.
Yeah.
Much smaller than anything you may have been to
so
before.
Biggest in New Zealand.
It's the biggest in New Zealand, and it's doable in like 3 hours. You go to Armageddon, you're like, this is a lot of fun. There's some really cool costumes. There's some really cool things that people are selling and artwork and stuff.
Yeah.
But you walk around it and you go, okay, I'm going home now. It's not one of these like Gen Cons that's like you're there for 4 days and you still miss half of it. But Armageddon, they do it twice a week. Twice a week. They do it twice a year, winter and summer.
Yeah, in Auckland. Yeah,
in Auckland they do.
Yeah.
And you try to get to both of them.
I try. Yes.
You try because it's good.
It's
good to get yourself out there. And
the next one's going to be just after the release of the new D&D rules.
Oh yeah,
so
true.
Interesting. Try and run something like that.
Yeah.
I just came out like Frederick reading. Okay, let's go.
So what's your involvement with it? Do you just take a bunch of your stuff and just make a big old mega dungeon, run people?
I normally play just with friends at a time, so I know what's going on. Build it in my living room. The table, my dining table is a good size measure. Okay, if it's my dining table, probably fit at an event as well. Roughly the same size, and run kind of interesting challenges that can fit a short time frame. People can come along and play.
And to what end? What's the goal for you when you go to these things?
Oh, for fun. I mean, also I do get paid, but it's good fun.
Is it ever actually good for getting into the community as well? Like people know your channel more because they've seen you at Armageddon, or is it they come to your table?
Yeah, definitely. Like I definitely met fans in the wild. Like, it's quite fun. Like,
fun,
It's like at Armageddon. I guess it feeds into the YouTube channel. Michelle feeds into this. Kind of self-fulfilling.
Self-feeding things.
I just enjoy
some
making
people will
things.
see you at these things first and then find your YouTube channel, whereas other people will find your YouTube channel and then go, oh, he's going to Armageddon, I'll go to Armageddon and see. Yeah, that's fun. So you're working on those things whenever they're coming up. How far in advance do you know what you're going to be working on for it?
Especially when I'm feeling passionate, like inspired by something, like your idea to get going, oh yeah, I feel like doing, let's do this.
Yeah.
So for this one, I'll probably wait for the new rules to go, okay. I don't want to design something and go, that doesn't work. So I'll probably be short time around.
Yeah, that makes sense. Aside from the sort of near future stuff, then the Armageddon and the I assume you're working on more laps and always more laps to come.
Yeah. Kind of doing being a player a bit actually. It's quite nice. Like I'm playing a campaign. I wrote the rules for them. I did the rule design. I'm kind of like the rules guy.
When's the next lap event?
Lap event that I'm playing in is September.
September? Is that the usual sort of time frame? We're filming early July.
We tend to try and skip winter as much as possible. Winter
makes sense. It's so fucking cold, man. It's getting so cold.
Yeah.
It's the last couple of weeks.
Yeah. So it tends to be kind of near the end of the year, but Christmas seems to be crazy. So generally like before December, but like end of the year or early year like February, March as well.
Okay, so you usually is it like when those happen, when those sort of times come around, it's like lap as much as possible,
it can
and
be,
then big gaps.
Yes,
so like feast and famine situation.
There could be sometimes might be someone might put on like a day game as well, which is like hire a hall somewhere for like a social event that is set in that campaign world.
Right, that makes sense. So in terms of the writing of the laps, when you're preparing for something like this, if you're not just being a player but you're actually like involved with it, where do you start with like is it always like an ongoing of the last thing, or do you ever just be like we're starting a completely new?
So it depends on laps. So like there's the campaign laps. Actually the other laps I do run is at Spookers I do the one-off laps. So they're different beasts as well because they are designed to be a one-off like afternoon,
right?
Like done, and everyone's given pre-written characters. We wrote your character for you to play. Here you go.
Yeah.
The rules are a lot simpler. Like, we resolve things with papers as rock.
Yeah.
That sort of thing. So you don't because you can't carry around dice. Holding rolls dice. It's a good way of resolving things without carrying stuff around. And yes, that's all writing for you to design these characters to work together and have secrets that kind of connect everyone. You kind of let them loose. And in this case, Spookers is a haunted house attraction in Auckland. So they just use the whole haunted house.
We talked about it recently because we were talking about the vampire, the Strahd one that I went to at Spookers.
Yes.
Because I was chatting on short rest with Dungeon Studios.
Oh, yes.
And one of them is a Kiwi guy.
Yes.
And he was Russell. He was the guy who was Strahd in that campaign, I think.
He was, yeah.
And we were chatting about that. It came up in short rest, and I ended up putting up the.
She's wearing my armor. Yeah, she's wearing my armor.
Everybody's wearing your fucking armor anytime that anybody sees anything.
Well, I'm like the go-to guy. They go like, we need someone.
Friends got costumes.
Yeah. Actually, there was another story which we'll get to in a sec, I think.
We were talking about the where to store things outside of the actual time of doing the LARP. Is it just at your house? Is that you just have all of the LARP costumes?
My garage is full of lots of weird props and costumes. I tell you what is this?
Most people would get into the amount of tens of thousands of dollars of Dwarven Forge and minis and Massive Darkness minis and all these other things you've got going in the terrain, the 3D printed pieces. Most people would do that and go, now I don't have any storage for any of my life stuff. No. But you're like, no, I've got the space for that, and I'm also going to have all my LARP stuff, and I'm going to have rooms for my...
Big
you kids live in shoeboxes?
No.
The kids also have rooms?
They're fine,
they don't have rooms that is just LARP storage?
No, there's no LARP stuff in the
They're constantly LARPing the Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, pushing through the fur coats.
Well, occasionally it's like some of their toys, though, end up in LARPs or CD props.
They certainly do. They've seen that, as we're filming, that's the most recent episode that just went up on the Tales of the Misfits, was the one with the big Ferris wheel.
Yeah. But yes, actually speaking of costumes, because I have been reached out before because I'm the costume LARP guy for a few game shows they made in New Zealand.
Okay.
This was I think just pre-pandemic. They made a D&D game show.
Right.
It was called Surviving the 80s, right?
Okay.
And one of the episodes was set in D&D. And basically they needed we need someone to come in who can dress up in their own armor and stuff and fight with swords and eliminate contestants.
Right.
So they got me to come eliminate contestants in this game show.
Like, yeah, I can do that.
Like, sure, I guess.
Nice.
The weird things that come up in New Zealand. Everyone knows each other. Yeah.
Yeah, I bet. And it's always fun to have this sort of a job where you're like, yeah, I'll do. This is what I do for them.
Yeah,
it makes it interesting.
Yeah. Especially with because I've got that background in film industry, so everyone's like, oh, yeah, we know a guy actually.
Yeah. Everybody knows a guy who knows somebody who can be like, I think I know a guy who's got a medieval costume.
Yeah. Get this guy in.
That not only has a medieval costume, but also has the swords and the training to wield the sword safely, and has a film background, so understands the basics of like what time they need to turn up and like all that stuff.
Triple threat.
And being filmed on camera and understanding to keep yourself to camera and stuff. That's handy. What were we talking about before that? We were talking about your LARP costumes.
LARP costumes, yeah.
You were talking about getting into like the writing process and where you begin, like starting off completely. Fresh.
So start off fresh. So normally the idea inspired by like probably more recent art I wrote for Spookers was a co-writer, a co-writing team in fact. We wrote a sci-fi LARP. So kind of idea for this we've done a lot of fantasy. Let's do something different. Let's just set sci-fi and kind of like Lost in Space, kind of like your passage in a spaceship. Everyone goes to stasis. Even somebody wakes up early and like alarms are going off and like captain's dead. Like what's going on Lost in Space?
Very Nemesis. Have you played Nemesis, the board game? It's basically that. Yeah,
I might own it actually. I haven't played. Like I own so many board games. I haven't played most of them. I got so many. It was a good deal, and I own it now. It's on the shelf.
Yeah, Nemesis is a good board game for that. You wake up out of stasis, somebody's dead in the room with you, and you've got to walk around the ship, like turning over the tiles to discover the ship.
So that we had like tablets we used for like mini games for hacking door panels and things like that. So the little thing to hack, like captain's log videos pre-recorded, display, and like explore around the haunted house that we kind of set up as a spaceship. Nice. You got to repair the power core and do all the stuff. Like build a serum morph alien costume around the house attacking people with.
Live action Among Us. You've got all these little quests that you've got to go and do. Fix this panel.
So good fun. So so that was just an idea, and I think the inspiring idea was a TV show, Avenue 5. Seen that one? No. So comedy sci-fi, dark comedy sci-fi one where it's kind of like the passenger's first cruise liner in space gets lost in space kind of thing.
Okay.
In every episode, something gets worse and worse. Something goes wrong. Like the passengers think like, nah, this is all like a trick simulation, not a game show or something, right? If I go to the airlock, I better get out into the real world. We're in the studio right now. No, don't. The airlock is like, oh my god,
Yeah, that's fun.
It's a good show. So at the coverage, you're like, oh, yeah, a space cruise line, everything going wrong. That sounds like a great one.
Yeah.
And all these passengers who just kind of this random collection of people, but they do have groups of things going on. It turns out on this flight.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah,
very cool. So how did it go? How did the writing process and everything?
Oh yeah, so basically lots of meetings and kind of like figuring what's going on and writing kind of different encounter designs and like what players actually do during this 4-hour game. What
was the biggest difference between fantasy and sci-fi for you when you were approaching some new genre? Was it like an entirely different beast and you're like, holy cow, we're going to start again?
It was definitely like, it did open up a lot of cool avenues. Like we had like the hacking pen consoles and things like that. Like encounter design was different. I was like, it's quite fun to do something very different.
Yeah.
So we can't really utilize tablets in fantasy so much. Because you do a weird sci-fi twist, like lots of magic surface, anyway. So that was quite fun and kind of drawing on different tropes that could fit into sci-fi. Like we had like a void space cult and the secret cult, secret cultists doing cult things that could work with some more sci-fi, eldritch horror and space, classic.
Yeah,
and so we just kind of basically what tropes kind of inspired that kind of fit together, nice to tell a cohesive story. And we also designed this one because one we're rerunning Spookers being modular, so we can change what happens slightly each time.
Oh, okay.
So we can rerun it. So we've actually run it twice now.
So that it's repeatable for the people who've been before.
Yeah, so we run it twice now and we actually changed it so we had repeat people and like different things going on.
That's cool.
Different things supposed to go wrong.
Did you find that? Did you tell them very clearly in advance, like, this is different from if you were here before?
Yeah.
Did you still get people who were like, I've done this before, I remember that?
No, I noticed. No, it was mostly a Serumorph. Alien running around taking people at the time. No one stopped the chat about that.
I've seen it. We just have to do this, and like tries to kill you away, and it's like, nah, that weakness has changed.
And you know, sort of because a lot of cool TV productions closed down in New Zealand. They wrap up, and you get a lot of cool stuff, and that's where a lot of my collection some of this come from. Like things like Power Rangers closed down, and I acquired quite a bit of like power armor and things like that, so you can find a spaceship power to put on. Do you just
have people who know people who tell you when these things are shut down, or do you like keep your eyes on like eBay?
I do know people as well as there are some groups as well that people put up. Hey, by the way, there's going to be a sale coming.
So you're aware of it, and you're like, okay, let's budget this thing so that I've got some money for when this thing comes up, because undoubtedly there's going to be some pieces I want.
Yeah, some cool stuff.
That's a cool way of doing it. So your next lap's not for a few months, but you're playing in it?
Yeah, I'm playing that one. There'll be a Spookers one probably before that, but we haven't scheduled it yet. But at some point there'll be another one. Yeah. So when am I getting into LARP then? I can lead over. I think you got a lot of travel coming up, yeah?
I got a lot of travel. In a couple of weeks, in like 4 weeks, I set off for Gen Con. And then I'm traveling for 2.5 months doing various different conventions, like in-person games and stuff, meeting fans and whatever. And then I'm going to the UK as part of that to meet my nibblings, because I haven't met them since they've been born, for most of them. So I'm going to meet and catch up with some family and things. Going to Germany for a couple more meetups with fans and things. Yeah. Then I go to Australia for PAX Australia.
Yeah, so
that's going on.
Then
I go back to New Zealand.
Okay, so we'll get some scheduling. We'll get our schedules out. We'll play out this game.
Yep, it'll be easy. Super easy scheduling. Easy. Oh, so 2026 might work.
We'll get the schedule going.
Who knows where I'll be living? Maybe eventually, one day, stars will align.
Perfect.
And you'll say, hey, there's a lap in a month's time, and I'll be like, sign me up.
Perfect.
Because I'd love to give it a go. I'd love to try it. I'd love to try it in a place an environment where it feels safe to do so for a newbie. Somebody that I know who can be like, this is how it works. Tone it back. You're doing way too much, or you do this, or where's your costume? Turn up like this.
Yeah. What are you doing? Sci-fi one's quite good because you can just wear. I'm just retro right now.
I'm just a guy who really enjoyed the 2000s, and he dresses in 2000s uniform.
Easy.
So what's next after that? What's the biggest sort of blue sky project for like long distance future we're talking now? Like
long distance future.
What are you hoping for with Cutting Words and the brand and the stuff you want to achieve?
Stuff I want to achieve? Oh, jeez, oh, okay. Blue sky. Well, I like making videos. I'll probably make more of those. I think at a certain point I will dip my toes into some live play and see how that goes. Experiment. Try different video formats and things. I always like just releasing different types of videos and see how it goes. Kind of like what works and like the combination of what's fun for me to make, but also what does well on the channel. So that's always just good fun. It's like just making things and having a good time. So
would you want to have like a Cutting Words studio where you outsource work to other people and make things together?
That'd be cool, but I haven't really thought that far ahead.
just kind of
going
with
the
flow
things,
do things that you want to do,
and things happen.
Following the things that you enjoy.
Yeah, before you know it, you got huge collections moving forward, and like so no doubt before I know it, like I'm running a production company or something.
Branching into other TTRPGs at all? Any other TTRPGs?
Yeah, well, I mean, dipping my toes a little bit, but it's definitely interesting one because also built a channel Cutting Words around D&D. And I've dipped my toes a little bit, like other formats, but I think my audience does want D&D, but like if the audience wants to be try different things, we can.
I future-proofed myself early on by calling myself Robert Hartley GM and not DM, specifically because I knew, hey, a lot of people jump shipped when 4th edition happened. D&D is not necessarily immortal. Like it's going to be around forever.
It's 5e continued. We're not changing it. It's still 5e. Okay. Honest.
It's backwards compatible. So who knows what happens next? Who knows when the 6th edition is eventually released, which it will, because that's just how things actually go. They said the same about Windows 10, and they were like, the edition to end all editions. No more editions after this. We'll just continually roll out Windows 11. They did the same with, I think, one of the iPhones as well. They've done it time and again with various different services where they go, we're not doing edition model anymore. And then they've got enough bugs and problems that they bring out a new edition. So I think it's only a matter of time before D&D 6 does come, maybe like 5-10 years or something. But I think when it does, who's to say that it's not universally hated and everybody jumps ship and suddenly I've tied myself to something that people don't want anymore. I saw a lot, especially last year during the OGL debacle and the stuff with Hasbro firing a bunch of people right before Christmas and stuff. I saw a lot of people jumping ship from D&D and being like, we're going to be TTRPG podcast now rather than a D&D specifically or whatever. So it's good to future-proof, but at the moment there's enough D&D content out there to be making videos.
Yeah, that's one. Yeah.
So as we wrap up this, then give me your views, your first views on the stuff that is being released for the new edition, the new stuff.
The new stuff.
The new PHB. PHB, because it was 1 D&D for a while. And then people were calling it 6, and then people were calling it 5.5, and now they're calling it D&D
that's classic
5e
Wizards marketing, right?
2024.
They're not very good at promoting it. We're going with...
is it called D&D 5e 2024?
Yeah.
Is that what they're calling it? That's what I've
heard. Basically.
Which is perfect. It rolls off the tongue really well. D&D 5e 2024 rather than D&D 5e 2014.
Yeah.
Perfect marketing.
Perfect.
So,
all the books are coming out.
The stuff that you've enjoyed, the stuff that have been released, they've talked about the new warlocks, the new druids, the new fighters, paladins, all that. They released a thing about new spells where they talked about no new spells. What are your first thoughts?
First thoughts. What I've seen, the videos so far, like it's like they're definitely like some things cool, they're tweaked and fixed up. Other things obviously the opinions vary, right, on what they changed. Like Paladin, probably the biggest one, right? Where they nerfed the smite ability to be once a turn and a bonus action. Well, it seems a bit harsh on action comedy for poor Paladin. No Polar Master for you, Paladin. Never going to happen. But they didn't touch the feature that I always thought was too strong fixing, which was the aura protection. It was too strong.
They nerfed the thing nobody was complaining about because smites are super exciting when they happen and everybody at the table goes, smite! Smite, pump your smite, you got nat 20, pump smite and kill this thing quick. What needed nerfing, all the Dungeon Masters were saying, was the aura of protection that's like, nobody in this entire party ever fails a save again.
So basically it made Paladins actually unfun. They basically kind of reduced the fun part of it and left the unfun
left
kind
the
of
bit
passive.
everybody was saying needed nerfing.
So it's like, what? Okay. So it's an odd choice.
I'm excited for it. I think most of the changes that they're talking about are fine. Most of the changes, as we kind of alluded to earlier, are just things that people play anyway.
Yes.
Like the Eldritch Knights, the mainly fighter people, but they've got a little bit of magic. They've now been like, oh, you're not specifically limited to these 2 classes of magic.
Yeah.
Of course, nobody played it that way anyway.
Yeah.
Everybody was like, you're an Eldritch Knight, take whatever spells you want. And same with the Arcane Trickster Rogue. You're not limited to illusion magic. You can take whatever magic you want. Everybody was playing it that way anyway, that I know. Potions as a bonus action. Most people are playing it that way anyway. Just there's lots of things that's like, oh, they're just catching up to how people play anyway.
Yeah. Then there's things like Weapon Mastery, which is new.
Weapon Mastery is new.
Yeah.
And
I don't know how I feel about it, because I feel like one in particular, Topple, like it's just very spammy saving throw. It just seems like a bit much.
So Weapon Mastery, for anyone who hasn't been keeping up, and I don't know when this is released, but by this point you should have caught up. It's basically each weapon now comes with a tag word that if you are a martial class, which is the thing that I do like about it, is like it's giving the marshals something that the spellcasters don't get finally.
Yeah.
It's something that's like, oh, you because you're a marshal, because you've spent more time working with weapons and tangible objects than wizard spells, you do have an ability with this weapon that other people don't. So like a mace, it can like knock you back or whatever.
Yeah.
So I like the idea that weapons have got a little bit more uniqueness to them. What I haven't enjoyed in the past is like, if your weapon does a D8 slashing damage, it doesn't matter what the weapon is. There's like 4 different weapons that do a D8 slashing damage. It's all just flavor. So like adding like a scimitar also has this, or a longsword has this now, or whatever. Different tags is a good idea. The tags they've chosen and the things that they do is going to be, it's going to be a matter of, I'll play it at the table, see how it plays out in my games. But in theory, some of them could be really broken.
I think, and also I think in practice, how we end up probably going is, everyone will sit on their one thing. Rather than never change a weapon.
They're not changing weapons.
I found a +1 longsword, and I just keep using the +1 longsword.
I'm going to use the thing that I can topple somebody with, and I can knock them to the ground.
I'll see what I'm saying. Why would I change things out? Why?
Also, Jeremy Crawford talking about that being like, oh yeah, when you're playing a high-level fighter and you get 8 attacks per round with an action surge, blah, blah, blah. And so you can knock them to the ground, and then you can give yourself advantage with it, and then you can use a dagger for an extra nick attack, and it's like, oh, so now you're also implying with that changing out weapons is perfectly free action to do, and like, so they must have changed the action economy of like dual wielding feats that allow you to draw 2 weapons at once and stuff, because in the 6-second round, you're making 8 attacks with 8 different weapons. You pick a longbow attack and then you put that away and hit them with a mace for this effect, and then you topple them with.
I feel like making martials down a debuff. It was like, martials are debuffing now, and then who's doing damage now? So they took away Great Weapon Master and Sharpshooter feats, and I haven't seen much talk of what's getting more damage
added to them.
It's like ways of being prone or whatever. It's like, okay, where's the damage coming from?
Yeah, I don't know. It seems like there's some questionable choices they're making that I feel will just be homebrewed out immediately. Yeah, there'll be a lot of things that's like, nope, we're not playing that way. Yeah, there's some things as well that they're like excited. They're excitedly talking about them in these release videos and saying things like, you can finally do this thing that nobody's ever asked for. Like, so it's in the Rogue one that hit me was like, oh, you can finally now substitute your sneak attack dice in favor of doing poison or something.
So you can sacrifice your damage.
So you can now finally choose to do less damage on a sneak attack, which is nobody's ever asked for in the history of Dungeons and Dragons. Yeah. In order to do poison, which you could do with just adding poison to your blade. If you want to be a poisoner, you take a poisoner's kit.
Such a non-feature. It's just like, here's an option you can have that no one's going to take.
Nobody's ever chosen it, but now we can say that it's extra options in the game than ever before. Yeah. There's some things that are frustrating, and like that's not a thing somebody in PR before putting this video together should have picked up on that and been like, don't be all excited about this because people will rip on you for
what it is we should spend our 10 minutes talking about the art.
Talk about the artwork in the book. It's such a beautiful book. Yep, what's in it? What's in the book? They talk about the wizard spells and how you can now, in the artwork, you can now see
artwork doing there.
He's casting magic missiles, but he's also wearing mage armor. Yeah. Cool. That's what the viewers want to hear about. That's not why I'm buying the book. That's not what I wanted to hear about with the leaking of the content of this book. Yeah. Anyway, it's a mixed bag at this point. There's some good things, some bad things, as you'd expect, I guess, and some just kind of Yeah. That isn't a change. That's how we've been playing it since Tasha's came out. Yeah. Oh, how about the backgrounds? having the ability score linked to your background now. What's your view on that?
I think I like it because Tasha's was very much you do what you want. I was like, okay, it's fine. Now I like having like limitations of creativity. You can explore creativity there. So but still having the option there because I think we do have the Dungeon Master Guide. I think they said options for custom backgrounds and changing things. So like you still like as a DM like that person with a charlatan background really wants to be really strong for some reason or something. Sure, but having the kind of built-in some limitations there is quite nice.
I've been back and forth on it. I can't decide where I fall because at first I really enjoyed your species comes with certain buffs and then debuffs or whatever. I'm not against the idea that a Goliath should have more strength than a Hobbit, and if you want to play a Hobbit barbarian, you're choosing to go against type for the sake of the character, and so you should be fighting against the fact that you don't start with as much strength and whatever. I'm kind of that camp.
But so when that can hurt your stats so much doing that. So
it's like if you're, but the people who are complaining about it are clearly like optimizers and min-maxers. So don't play a suboptimal class. Like if you want to be an optimizer min-maxer, play the optimizer min-maxer race class combo of a barbarian who's a Goliath or an orc or whoever gets the strength bonuses. I don't really fully understand that argument. But they took it away in Tasha's and was like, anybody can be anything. And I was like, kind of fine, whatever. And then they've gone back on that, so they're pissing off both sides because they kind of went away from it and pissed people off who liked it. And then they're going back on it, but not all the way. And it's like, your background, you now get to choose from 3. Which is good. Like, you've got some fluidity, you can choose whatever. But they're deciding which 3. Which, again, I'm actually fine with personally, I think, because it's like if you are going for the Acolyte background, you probably wouldn't have trained a bunch of strength. But then a couple of people have made some really good arguments being like, what if you're an Acolyte to a God of War or a God of Strength, or like part of your clerical rituals are...
Ask your DM, and
your clerical rituals are like, getting into brawls with each other, like you should have that limitation, you should have that ability. And I'm like, well, you kind of do if you just homebrew it. But I understand that, like, well, just homebrew it is a moot argument.
Works for everything.
You could apply it to anything. So I'm back and forth. The way that I personally would have done it, if I was the one designing it, is you'd get a +1 bonus to one of the 6 stats from your species. So like whichever the species makes the most sense, you get a stat to that. You get a +1 bonus that comes from your class, whichever one makes the most from that, and you get a +1 from your background. So your class, your bonus, your race, your class, your background, all give you a +1 that makes sense for the thing you've chosen, and that's your stat. And each one gives you like options. So like if you are a barbarian, you can take a +1 in strength, constitution, or dexterity or whatever. If you are a acolyte, you get one of the mental stats. So you've still got your flexibility.
So still some flexibility. Otherwise you end up how it was when 2014 rules, right? When like if you're playing a rogue or whatever, you've got to be elf or half.
Got to be these things. There's only these choices that make sense for it. That's kind of how I prefer it, which is I feel like how Pathfinder does it. Pathfinder 2E especially, like they've got more of that. They still keep that elves are more live. So if you want to be a barbarian elf, you're making a choice there of like you're a dexterous guy, but you're barbarianed out. I don't know. I think there's lots of room for people to just kind of play it how they've always wanted to play it anyway, and be like all that.
It's also the background's covered with the feats as well, right? There's a limit on feats, so which you want a lucky feat, I think. So that's going to be lucky feat. Done. Like the boring good one.
Basically. Yeah, I like what they're doing with the feats. The moving them into like origin feats and like regular feats and then like epic boom feats. So they're like, these are objectively stronger feats, so you can't take them until later levels.
So, rather than just very humans as they currently are.
Very human with your great weapon master or your sharpshooter, and just be amazing right from level 1 and never have any character build to growing into a good character that's really good. Yeah, origin feats, I've always liked the idea of everybody starting with a feat, because it's kind of how I've house ruled it in my games for some time. It's like, pick your starting class and then take a feat on top of it.
Yeah, hopefully they're well balanced. I'm worried it's going to be, again, it could be like, and everyone takes this one.
Everyone takes this one particular feat. Cool. DMs have to now house rule that's not allowed at my tables. Yeah. Anyway, I don't want to keep you all day, and then we've both got stuff to do because we're both busy. So thank you very much for joining me for Short Rest. We've had our short rest. We've got some of our health back.
Yeah.
We've regenerated warlock spells or monk key points. What's next on our quest?
Well, that troll was with dust and fire, right? It was.
I'm pretty sure we hit it with the torch.
Yeah.
Was that enough fire though, or is it? Alright, well,
okay.
we're going to draw some weapons.
Yeah.
Get your sword
Alright, here we go.
And I guess we got to go deal with the troll.
Perfect.
As we go off to kill the troll, where can people find you and your work?
Oh, yeah. You can find me on YouTube, Cutting Words. And YouTube channel, The Cutting Words there, as well as Instagram, Cutting Words GM. Got a whole link tree, various things for you on Twitter. Just Brad P. Thompson on there. Very consistent, super consistent. YouTube Cutting Words is the best one.
Cool. Thank you very much for joining me, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye. Hey there. Thanks for watching this video. It really means a lot to me. And if you want to spot me in ways that doesn't cost you anything, you can tell your friends, or colleagues, or family, or Reddit threads, or just post the video somewhere. Thanks.